Testing, testing. Testing, testing. The sky I'm in a reckless fever, the stroker that teaser. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. The independent girl in me is be fun. 27 days ago is 27 days to cope without. Hey, hello. Vesuvicius. Is PB up? No, yeah, no, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I never try it. I never try it. I assume it's tomorrow. 1st April. I don't know. I never try it. I'm not gonna play it now yet though. Can you play PB in Steam? Vesu, do you know that you need to get a specific app to play on mobile, right? There's a specific client, PBE client for mobile that you need to get if you want to play PB on mobile. So I mean, if you have that, you can just log in and see, right? In fact, okay, you know what? I'll log in right now. I'll log in right now and check. You're just lazy. This fucker. Too lazy to check. But got enough energy to come and ask me to check for you, ah. J, what do you mean no? PB mobile is only NA. I must have NA account. I see. Okay, never mind, it's not loading. It's updating and shit. 2 gig. 2 GB patch. Wait, 2K MB is 1 GB, right? Is it? It is down only quite fast. What the charm you done on me, sir? Wow, that's a lot of attitude to be talking to the moderator, bro. Bro, you don't become the first person Jay abuses his power on. Yeah, then if that happens, I'll have to abuse my power on Jay. And I sit around my radio, left out in my stereo, and I was Did it drop? I don't know. I'm checking out. My phone is still down on that shit. But I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. It's a rundown, guys. That's why I say rundown. I'm just okay. The stream today is basically Mod Dog dropped this massive 1 hour, 2 hour video. All about set 17. I'm assuming he's running down all the units and shit. So I'll be watching. I'll be reacting. I'll be theory crafting. What we can play. Yeah, hello Akira. Yeah, should be tomorrow. Yeah, hello Eden. Thanks for the follow. Should be tomorrow. Should be tomorrow. No, Vesuvius, you know that you don't have to be in NA to play NA, right? Can I help explain to him? I mean, I don't until I don't know about the PBE thing lah, but yeah, but like Vesuvius, you can still play in NA server. You can play in every server. You can play at all the servers. You don't have to be there. You don't have to use a VPN. You just connect there. Hey, hello Brandon. Hello. Teaching you the handsome. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot. I need to move my thing. Right, you guys can't see the handsome man that's gonna explain everything to you, right? Nah. That's the handsome man that's gonna explain everything to you. That is our handsome man, Mr. Mod. Wait, hold on. I'm almost done downloading, I guess, the patch for the PBE on the mobile. Then we'll see whether it's up or not. I don't probably isn't. Sorry before not as handsome as you. Hey, some things, hey Brandon, some things we keep inside, bro. Hey, some things don't say out loud, bro. Hey, I mean, he's married. I'm not, so you know, he has to be handsome, more handsome than me, right? Just like you, right, Brandon? Brandon married also more handsome than me, bro. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. Okay, I'm gonna play a video a bit. Can you guys tell me if the volume is loud enough?
Hey everybody, Riot Mort here, and it is time for our 17th set TFT Space Gods to hit PBE. By the time you're watching this, it might already be on PBE, but it is time for another set. Now, that being said, I didn't have time to make a fancy slide deck between work and casting and everything like that. And the fact that I actually don't have my home PC set up right now. So you're getting this a little scuffed, but I still figured it was worth going through and talking through all the different units and traits and stuff like that. So figured we could use some of the, external websites that have all the info out there and talk about it. So hopefully you guys find this valuable. But this is still me talking about all the different units, traits, mechanics, and things like that you can expect for Space Gods.
Brandon, as sign up for a tournament. Oh, I thought. Okay, I was about to sign up, but then I remember that the price is like the points, right? The riot, the RP, right? Then I felt a bit bad last competition. Like I basically had won the RP from everyone else, and then I don't even use RP. So I was like, do I? It's like but if you don't have enough, I can sign up.
Just dive right in because I'm probably going to talk a long time. We're going to start with units. We'll start with one cost and work our way down. Starting off with Aatrox. Now, Aatrox is a Nova Bastion, and as I talk about each Nova unit, there's actually three things I have to talk about. Okay, there's the champion, there's their passive effect, which you will get 8 seconds. It's like 6 or 8 seconds into combat, as long as you have two Nova active. So you can do a lot of really valuable things with their passive.
So Nova is like special shit. Each unit has a special upgrade.
And then if you have 5 Nova active and you choose them as their like primary guy, you get their like big
You're creating masters to challenge lobby so we even a match. Okay. I'll go sign up with it.
ultimate attack. And so all three of those things have to be considered with each Nova champion as we talk about it. So Aatrox, for example, pretty simple tank. You know, he does.
Oh yeah, hey, that means I'll be in the same lobby as Jay, right? That means I'll be the same lobby as Jay. Oh my lord. Hey, hello Baz, hello. Doing fine. Excited for
the
tomorrow.
heal a little bit and then stab them. Nothing crazy. It's going to remind
Okay, Aatrox. Heal AP %, deal damage. Okay, just basic one cost stuff, right? Just a usual one cost. Oh, I deal damage and I heal back.
you have like a Shen or an Alawi from last set where it's like a 2-star Aatrox will be good in
In
stage
a while,
2.
hey, no worries, bro.
And that'll
It's
be
been a
that,
while for
you
me
know,
also.
he's tanked.
Been a while for me as well.
But his Nova passive is really valuable.
Nice.
8 seconds, 6 or 8 seconds into combat, it gives you Shred and Sunder on all enemy units for the rest of combat. So, you know, you don't have to build your like Sparks or Last Whispers. You could get it through having Aatrox. And this is nice because you can often run like Aatrox plus one other Bastion for 2 Bastion, which will give you that team-wide, you know, Whispers. You can combat. So, you know, you don't have to. Shred and Sunder is really valuable. 8 seconds, 6 or 8 seconds into combat, it gives you Shred and Sunder on all enemy units for the rest of combat.
Oh, okay. So Aatrox. Okay, so it says that Nova is a trait that activates like after like 8 seconds, I think, on Nova units that give an upgrade specific to the Nova unit. So for Aatrox's Nova skill is Sunder and Shred and Sunder the whole enemy team after 8 seconds. Doesn't sound that good, honestly. Right, because 8 seconds is still 8 seconds of damage that I'm missing out if I don't Sunder and Shred, right? Oops. Fuck. I just realized that I forgot about TikTok. Yeah, hello TikTok, my bad.
I.e. Bramble Vests. 6 or 8 is Nova Ultimate, which you should really only be using if you somehow, like, for example...
Hey, hello, Guillotine. You got challenge for me. Do a push-up every time you hear weird. Weird? You mean like Modok say weird?
Build-A-Bud Aatrox, you know, and you got a really strong...
Okay, it's like Aatrox. I mean, it honestly doesn't sound that good, right? Because in the first place, I would still want to have Shred or Sunder in the first 8 seconds. It's not gonna be a situation where I do not build Shred and Sunder because I have Aatrox in, right? Because it's like 8 seconds of damage at the start. I don't know. Don't think that's gonna change a lot.
Aatrox. I don't think you're going to see a lot of reroll Aatrox. But basically, it hits the whole board, knocks them up for a little bit, and does damage based on his armor and AD. So if you put a lot of armor on him and AD, you can actually go like IE Bramble Vest +1, which is kind of weird. You can hit the whole board for like 500 damage, which can be pretty nice because the effect can crit. But again, that's a weird niche interaction. So, but yeah, that's Aatrox. Briar is basically a champion that you'll use for the traits. Pairs really well.
Briar
for
this set and
rogue.
Briar last set, both
2 rogue is pretty Well,
let's read this. Passive for every % missing health %. Okay, for the more health she's missing, she gets more attack speed. Okay. Deal AD damage, physical damage to the target, and tank damage to the attack. Okay, so she does more damage to tanks, I guess. Oh, it's fighter. Right?
Pretty good. Anima, obviously, for 3 Anima, which is the Lost Streak trait we'll talk about later. But most importantly, the only time you're really going to be playing Briar as a carry is if you're playing reroll Primordian. Primordian is a 1/1/2 reroll trait that is meant to be played as a reroll trait.
Okay, wait. Can I go and look at the traits first? This is a bit confusing. Like when I see the units, then I have to go and see the traits. Can we skip the traits? before we go through the units. Okay, traits.
The ideal state is you get 1 or 2 squads. Let's try to get through traits. I'll be able to talk as much. Okay, Anima Squad. Anima Squad is the lost streak trait. You play the 3-piece. If you have this on 2-1 or
Anima Squad
2-2,
is
you
basically
play
Chem
it.
Barons.
Otherwise, in my opinion, you don't, because the way it works is every loss gets more and more and more and more points. You're trying. The
Anime
ideal
squad,
state
yeah,
is
Anima
you
Squad,
get
the
it on
same as
2-1,
the previous sets.
get up to about a 500 cash out is a
Yeah,
solid,
it is,
solid good win. A 600 cash out is like you're probably
now
going to
it's
win the
Chem
game. And
Barons.
if you
Now
somehow
it's the
get
lost
higher
streak
than
shit.
that, you're probably going to
Yeah, I
super
remember,
win the game.
Leona,
700,
Zaya,
800 starts to do some wild
and then
things.
the Aurora 5 course.
What's
that can
interesting
send
about
shit in.
Anima Squad is the rewards are always units and Anima Squad items, but unlike Chem Baron, this is what it's modeled off of, the Anima Squad items can be played on anybody. They do not have to be played on Anima Squad units. So you can play 3 Anima, maybe get to, like, for example, 300, take +1 item and a little gold, and then completely pivot out to a completely different comp.
I'm not sure if I like that, right? Do you guys remember the... I don't know if you guys remember Chem Baron. Chem Baron, do you remember the Cockmore with Chem Baron emblem, and you put like perfect one of the Chem Baron items cash out on him? Yeah, Chem Baron Cockmore, exactly. You see, right? That was locked behind. Hey, yo! Hey, hello, Angelis! Hey, Angelis, thanks for it. I almost forgot I had that. He kind of shot me, my own raid audio. Hey, hello, welcome. Right now we're going through patch 17 PBE by Mod. Thanks. Bro, hey, Jay, you saw the wrong guy. Hey, hello, thanks for it. Okay, as I was saying, okay, like, if any of you guys remember Cockmore, right? Canberra Cockmore, it's a bit sus, right? Because now, thanks for rundown on TikTok. Hey, no problem. Thanks for watching the TikToks, bro. Now, you see, right? Now, because that was locked behind, you need a Canberra emblem in the first place, which is uncomfortable. But this, for any Squad, Come Dog is saying that you cash out an item, and you can put the item on anybody, right? Doesn't have to be Anima Squad unit, just anybody. And you don't even need Anima Squad in to have the item, right? It's not like Bilge Water. Wait. No, Bilge Water, you don't need Bilge Water for the items, right? Like, they stay permanently. I remember there was a trait where, like, if the trait is out, there's no items, right? Never mind. Basically, you can just play Anima Squad to get the resources, right? To get the items. Then you can just fuck off your Anima Squad. You just fool people into a different comp. I don't know, unless they balance. You mean Void? Okay, might be Void. Unless they balance it so well that none of the items are like have some super OP secret interaction with any other unit, right? I don't know, man. This feels very like Leduc is gonna have a lot of fun with this. He's gonna find some bullshit. He's gonna find some way to make some bullshit out of this. But that's that, I guess.
Now, if you get an Anima Squad emblem, you should consider looking at the 6-piece late game. The 6-piece is one of those, like, every time you win, just get extra stuff. Feels pretty good. Awesome.
Anima plus psionic items.
But yeah, otherwise, I will say it's like not one of our most innovative, lost streak traits. It's pretty standard. How long of a lost streak can you go? Can you get up to that 11 loss, that 12 loss, and get a ton of points? Also worth noting that in Soraka games, we'll talk about the gods in a little bit, but Soraka can give health, and so having more time to get your Anima lost streak is usually good. So anytime it's a Soraka game, I'm looking for an Anima opener if I can. So, all right. Arbiter. We talked about Arbiter a little bit, but basically it's a lot like the old admin, where there's going to be a menu that pops up. There will be causes and effects. And the way to look at it is there's really 2 types, okay? There's resource generation. So you could play Arbiter for something like, hey, for every star level or Arbiter, have a chance to gain some rerolls. And use that to bank up some rerolls and then pivot to another comp. Or, as I mentioned, there's every time you do a couple attacks, chance to make a Leona. Okay, great. Use that, make 3 Leona, pivot out. So there's the resource generation arbiters. And then there's the, like, actual combat stat arbiters. And usually those are designed around one specific unit. So it's like every 10 instances of damage, gain AP. Okay, that's a LeBlanc one. LeBlanc's the one doing tons of instances of damage. Or every 3 auto attacks, do something. Every 3 auto attacks gain health. Okay, well that's Diana because LeBlanc doesn't really need the health, so that's a Diana game.
Arbiter is low-key pure over. Nah, but pure over doesn't give you like resources until like only the 6 pure over the mining drill, right? You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me more of Arcana. Arcana, but you can actually choose which Arcana you have. Right? You guys remember which set was that? The witch, the magic set with the charms. The charm set. Arcana, right? I think like if you play specific Arcana units, they get Arcana buff or some shit. Oh no. You play Arcana and you put there's a special Arcana card that you play on one unit. Then it grants that specific unit's Arcana trait buff. This kind of reminds me of that. So I guess what Arbiter does is when you play Arbiter, you get it's like pure over where you get a few choices of like buffs. So there's like whether you want there's a buff that can give you money or there's a buff that can give you combat. And then there are certain buffs that are stronger with certain units and stuff lah. Is what I'm getting out from this.
Great. And you can look at it like that to try to figure out how to make your Arbiter work. So, cool.
So I think maybe they'll like purposely put some unit specific Arbiter traits. So maybe make I don't know who's the 2 calls. I think the 3 calls is Syndra, right? Maybe there's a Syndra reroll if you get the specific thing going, that kind of stuff, which is would be fun.
All right, we talked about
you need a trait like Divinity Call. Yeah lah, Divinity Call, Heavenly. I don't know if that's necessary lah. It's like the basic like any like 1, 2, 3, 4 Divinity Call, whatever, just splash. It just gives a buff. I don't know if that's necessary lah. Like that one a bit too easy to get, right?
Work as you can see there, shield and attack speed for
Who's the summon Bulwark? Who's that?
Shen.
Shen. Wait, Shen does summon a placeable relic at the start of combat. It grants ancient allies. Azir, but it gives the buff. You get one Azir soldier, but it gives buffs. Okay.
Commander, we talked about with Sona. Those are those mods that are really good.
You know, okay, we can go for the 5 calls. We go back later.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he explains the 5 calls.
Dark Lady, like I said, 5% DR or 10% while Morgana is in dark form. That's during her spell, so you can do that. Dark Star, like I said, 2-piece Dark Star, super valuable because it's just 10% execute on the entire enemy team.
Two Dark Star and execute everyone in your 10. Isn't that super good? You're like it's like you play this 2-piece and you just basically minus the enemy's board health by 10%. Not only that, right? You decrease their item effectiveness. Like let's say maybe you have a Spirit Visage, right? A Spirit Visage that heals more the lesser your health is. You just cut out 10% of that. The 10% of health that makes Spirit Visage the most valuable is just gone because you play Dark Star. So that's in a way you can say that does even more damage than 10%. That's pretty good.
2 Dark Star is something I try to get in every comp I can. It's very good. 4-piece is really basic. It's just the team gains 30 armor and MR, the Dark Stars. And then the 6-piece is weird, where one unit, whoever your strongest unit is, basically that doubles. It becomes like 60 AD and AP. And you get these 2 black holes that their health is based on the rest of your Dark Star. So for example, if you go like Cho'Gath reroll, make this big Cho'Gath, then get to 6 Dark Star, those 2 black holes will also have a ton of health, and you can go really, really cool there. So, and then to note here is Dark Star Prismatic is a 9, which means you can actually do it at level 9, not level 10, but it does require 3 emblems. Yeah. And there aren't a lot of great ways to get emblems. So, something to consider there. All right. Fiora's, like we talked about, Divine Duelist. This is you heal
Dark
for 15% of the damage you deal.
Basically pure over flex. Nah, not really. So that's like not really. Pure over flex, you get to choose the effect, and it's like you can tailor the effect based on your team, right? Dark Star is just like a generic effect. I say it's more like okay, and Dark Star is weird, right? Because it's not exactly because 2 Dark Star is a flex trait, but okay, I guess in the sense it's similar to Pure Over, right? Where 4 Dark Star just starts going into Pure Over instead of just being an overall board effect.
If you're low with Anima Squad and then you get Fiora, you can heal back up if you start winning fights, which is pretty cool. Doomer, like I said, you steal their AD and AP when you hit them, which is great. Eradicator, talked about that, the 14% less armor and MR.
Skip all the 5
Factory
costs.
round. Zed, like we talked about. I talked about Mecha already, where you can basically run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 based on which ones are cost 2. The thing I'll call out is that the way Mecha, in my opinion, gets played.
Mecha units can transform into their ultimate form, upgrading their ability and gaining 60% health. Transform mechas take up 2 steam slots and count twice for the mecha trait. Okay. I did see a video of Aurelion Soul turning into like some kind of what's it even called? Like I don't know, just some rocket, not rocket, like some flat, the white flat plane is just shooting missiles. It's kind of weird.
Either play it where it's like you have the Urgot early, play around him as a mech, and then find the mighty mech.
It becomes
play
a
with
jet.
that as your tank,
exactly
and then later find the Aurelion Soul, and you're like,
that
okay,
cool.
If I only play 6 basically if I have items for all 3. Okay. If I don't have items for all 3, my recommendation is you only play 4.
Thanks for watching the TikTok.
Even though the 6, it feels like it's powerful, where you're like, oh, free +1 size. It's almost not even worth it. And so, like, if I'm playing around Aurelion Soul tank and Mighty Mech frontline, I'll just ditch the Urgot. Or vice versa, if I'm playing around Aurelion Soul carry and Brawler frontline, maybe I keep Urgot with no items and only play 3 mech, and I don't even worry about the Mighty Mech, right? So it's like, it's an interesting thing where there's a lot of ways to play it, but don't be baited into thinking you have to play this 6, because I actually think unless you really have good items for all 3, that is a bait.
Yeah, because when they are mechs, they take up 2 slots instead, right? So you do have less team space to work with.
So, okay, Meeple. This says 2%. This is
astronauts attract meeps that empower astronaut abilities in meepy ways. They also gain bonus health. So they just gain stats.
Is wrong. For those of you that remember Battle Academia, that's the way Meeple works. It's basically there's a modifier to each Meeple. And so each one will change what they do. It's pretty interesting. But the big thing to talk about with Meeple is the 3 and the 5 are basic, health and that amp power up. But the 7 actually gives you a cloning hex where you can start to clone units, much like Hui in set 11 with Artist. You can start cloning units, and you also get a little bonus gold when you do that cloning. Froden was telling me he had a really fun game where he had worth the wait Poppy, then hit 7 Meeple early, then used the hex to start making even more Poppies, and eventually hit 4-star Poppy very, very early. Like you can do stuff like that. And so 7 Meeple is one of those generation engines that I think is really good. So definitely play around that. And then if you hit the...
Okay, so if you guys didn't know, I remember seeing this in the video also. Right? Meeple, 7 Meeple, right? It creates a special slot on your bench. Kind of like, imagine like Pandora's bench, but 1 slot. Where if you put a unit there, it clones the unit. Every round. Or okay, I don't know how long it takes to clone. They surely it takes some time, right? Maybe it's like Hui. Yeah, I think he said, right? If you guys remember, which set was it? Some other set, bro. There's so many sets already. Basically, there was a 5-cost Hui, right? Set 11. Yeah, basically there was a 5-cost Hui that can clone. If you play him, he can clone a unit on your bench. But the amount of turns it takes to clone is dependent on the star level of your unit. So if it's a 1-cost, you can get it immediately next turn. But if let's say it's a 5-cost, it takes you 5 rounds. Basically one whole round, right, to get that 5-cost clone. Maybe it's a similar situation like that. Yeah. But again, this is like Meeple. It feels a bit weird, right? Cloning the egg. Okay, honestly, I've never seen it before on set 11. I've only heard that it happens. Okay, then again, this does feel a bit weird again, right? It's like, it feels like Yordos again, where it's like they wanted Yordos to be a reroll trait, but the 8 piece is just so valuable that you usually just want to go level 8 without rerolling and just get the grab backs. This feels like a similar situation, like Meeples, you just want to rush to 7 so you can start cloning shit, right? It's probably gonna be another situation where you go fast 8 because there's two 4-cost carries I see here, right? I think it's Ramus and Corky, is it? basically a backline and a front line. You probably want to go fast 8, get these two, and then just use the cloning to get some 3-star your lower cost unit something.
10-piece. You get these 4 Meep Lords, which are adorable. That actually, Aniko hit that in playtest today. So, pretty cool. Nova,
Oh, okay,
like I said,
actually, it says right here. It says right here. Cloning time equals champion cost. My bad.
if you have at least 2, you get these effects. Aatrox is the Sunder and Shred. Caitlyn's the attack speed. Akali's the precision. All of those are good. Maokai is allies heals for 15% max health.
Right. Here's the Nova, right? 6 seconds into combat, Nova grant a power surge to allies based on champions. For 5 Ps, gain a striker selection. The chosen Nova activates a strike during the power surge. Okay, so basically, Nova units will gain their buff after 6 seconds. Aatrox will, 30% strength asunder all enemies. After 6 seconds, I don't know, 6 seconds. How much damage are you missing out in 6 seconds, right? If I don't build Sunder and Shred and just play Aatrox, how much damage am I missing out? I'll wait for the pros to calculate that. I am not doing that. But for right now, I will still try and build Shred and Sunder if I need it. Is it just the mic kind of soft? Guys, is the mic kind of soft? Is it better if I move it? I don't know. This feels like my normal distance, right? I don't know. I feel like I'll still build Shred and Sunder if I can, in order to get the extra damage early. Unless my comm really is like a very scaling comm that I can afford to wait for the 6 seconds. Okay, Caitlyn. Grant allies 20% attack speed. Okay, generic buff. No, hey, actually, Nem. Nova is more like Piltover, right? In the sense that I feel like 2 Nova will be quite valuable, and there'll be comms where you play specific units in 2 Nova to get valuable buff. Like, surely if you're playing some kind of attack speed comp, you want to have Caitlyn for extra attack speed or something. Yeah, little. Hold on. Hello. Hey. I mean, the volume is maxed out. Can't really. Not sure how I can change that. You are right though. I feel like usually it's a bit louder. Like compared to Mod Dogs. Oh, then is it just like Mod Dog sound is too loud? Cause usually when I watch, I put around half volume, but now it's full. You know, okay, I'll just decrease Mod Dogs a bit. Hello Leon, thanks to my Rek'Sai VOD, you managed to climb from plat 1 to plat 4. I did not expect my Rek'Sai comm to help someone. I'm max for you already. I don't know. I don't know how else to make the sound. Oh, plat 1 to plat 4. Okay, reverse climb. I see. I mean, hey, that was how many patches ago? That was literally that was patch 1, bro. That was patch 1, 16.1. Remember, 16.1C. You are trying to play a comp that I made like how many patches ago? Nah, it's out of the meta already. It's out of it. Okay, never mind. Akali, allies gain precision. Not sure what that is. Maokai, allies heal 15% max health. A generic tanky trait. Kindred, shield the strongest tank for 800. Giga tank. I can see. Okay, here's another case. Right? I can see Kindred being a staple in Giga tank rerolls. Like let's say there was a Leona Malzahar equivalent comp in set 17. I'll see Kindred being splashed in like Piltover, right? Just so that your Leona can get free 800 health. An emblem, allies do 10% stacking bonus true damage. Stacking? For everybody. That does sound good too. Like, you can kill tanks easily, right?
It's okay. And then Kindred is shield the strongest tank for 800. It's okay. It's fine. Late game, it's actually not that great, but really you're just playing around Kindred. So, and then there is actually an emblem, which is kind of cool. But emblem says allies deal 10% bonus true damage. Now again, the thing to remember here is this is not just Nova units. This is the whole team.
It's the whole team, right?
So do that. And then if you have 5, you gain that selector. Now, the selector can be overwhelming, but the basic rule is if you have a 3-item thing, put the selector on that. It's probably your carry. If you don't have that, put it on Maokai. Maokai is your safe go-to board wide stun. Take it. Cool. All right, party animal, that's Blitzcrank. This is basically the set mechanic where when he gets low, comes back.
Yeah, Blitzcrank is basically
Primordian,
set,
like I said, Primordian is just
set,
extra damage based on their star level.
Primordian. Dealing damage spawns Swarmlings based on Primordian star level. Reroll trait. Spawn even more Swarmlings. Each round gain a random 1 or 2 cost champion. Huh. Okay, the issue here is that it says 1 or 2 cost champion. I'm assuming it's not 1 or 2 cost Primordian. So you can't go 3 Primordian and start printing shit. I wonder what are the odds of hitting a Primordian out of that. But probably just play 3 for Econ. And since everything is cheap, I could see you playing Primordian just to get free money, right? It's basically a free Econ trade. Every round you just get 1 or 2 gold. What's the equivalent for this set? I guess it's like fielding 6 Yodos to get 2 rerolls every round. Or at 1 reroll now. Right. Or like maybe playing 3 Bridgewater so you can buy units in the shop to sell. That's less common. But basically it seems like it's gonna be an econ trade that I don't know, unless I don't know what the Swarmlings do yet. It depends on what the Swarmlings do. Or how much damage Swarmlings do. That will decide whether reroll Primordian is strong or not. But I feel like most of the time 3 Primordian will just be played as a econ trade.
But, and this is the weird thing about Primordian, is when you have the 3-piece, every round you gain a random 1 or 2 cost champion. And so this is where, like I said, you can actually play Primordian as an opener with some
also what are the odds, right? What are the odds of 1 cost and 2
fast
costs?
8, right? You don't have to play it as a reroll comp. You can, and it's good.
Like, is it more likely to get 1 cost and 2 costs, or are they even?
I've definitely had some fast 8 Primordian games that I'm pretty happy with. Oracle, like I talked about, that's Tom Kench. Every 3 rounds gains a reward. Psionic,
Psionic gains psionic items that can be equipped to any ally. Oh, that's what you're talking about, right? I remember, I think it's Jay, you talk about psionic items. Gain psionic item 1, psionic item 2, psionic items gain extra effects. Okay, I mean, we can't see the items now, so...
And the thing to note here is the 2-piece, very valuable. You gain an item, can be put on anyone.
Like, it's like Exotech, right?
The 4-pieces gain a second item, which is still good.
If you play more
the 4-piece, though, is where you start wanting to go, okay, should actually be psionic carries.
Okay.
Because the items gain an extra effect on psionic units at 4. Now, a common thing I've seen, for example, is like you play 4 psionic.
So the item doesn't have to be on a psionic unit. Yeah, no Elio kicks. So I can play 2 psionic and put the item on anyone at 1. That does sound, honestly, right, with this and Anima, right, that is a fun concept. Like, I can just get an item and put it on anyone else. Balancing wise and like I don't know. I mean, if Riot thinks they can pull it off, then sure thing. But can you imagine? You guys remember what? Holobo, is it called Holobo? Holobo Zeri from Exotech, right? Like it was bugged or some shit. I remember like the crit rate was bugged or some shit. And you put Holobo and IE, I believe, on Zeri. The damage charge was crazy. And she was basically like the best comp that everyone was trying to force because it was broken. It was bugged. Now imagine that, right? Holobo, the interaction of Holobo and IE, but you can put it on any single unit you want. And imagine that, right? But it's not just Zeri issue. Like they have to fix it for like they have to, because it was unintended for them to happen on Zeri, right? Now imagine that there is how many units in this whole entire set? Every single one of them could have potentially a buggy interaction that can be abused. I guess we'll see.
You put the AP carry item on like Sona, and then you put the tank item not on Gragas, even though it would give you the extra effect, but just put it on like your Tom Kench, you know. And so there's some cleverness you can do here. Don't be baited into feeling like you have to put the tank item on Gragas because he's psionic, for example. So some cool things you can do there. But again, 2 psionic, very valuable. Redeemer, as we talked about, extra AD and
Redeemer for each non-unique trait you have active, your team gains. Oh, that's interesting. So Redeemer is, I think, is a Rust. It's like Targon. It's like a 1 unit trait. This one is basically bronze for life, right? Basically bronze for life.
armor or attack speed, armor and MR for each trait active. Love that. Space Groove. This one's really weird. This is a very creative trait, but
Just say it's
basically,
disco, bro. Just say it's disco.
every Space Groove champion is either in the groove or not. When they're in the groove, they gain attack speed and health regen, and that number is based on how many Space Grooves you have. So, for example, if you have like 7 Space Groove in, that number can be like 80% attack speed and 4% health regen. Now, what determines if they're in the groove or not changes for each champion.
Yeah, I heard
So
Zed was
for
quite
example,
crazy. Like, you can clone himself.
if I have 5 stacks of my dot on them, I'm in the groove. Or I can't remember all of them, but they each have their own thing, which puts them in the groove or not. And for example, the 3-piece says they all start in the groove for 3 seconds, which can actually be really insane. Like if you're running 7, it's hey, at the start of combat, all your Space Groove gain 80% attack speed. It's like, whoa, okay. But yeah, and the other weird thing about Space Groove to call out here.
Okay, so how I understand this trait is that basically for every single unit, they have a special condition. They have a special condition that lets them enter this groove. Who's they have a special condition that allows them to enter a flow state. Right. They enter a flow state and they give buffs. Basically. It's how this trait works. So if you have three Space Groove, all your grooves guy enter flow state at the first 3 seconds of combat. If you have 5, every second you spend in the flow state gives you extra AD and AP. If you have 7, your flow state effects increase by 20%. And I think like the flow state for every single one of these guys are different.
What you can do as a trick is this does not say unique Space Groove. So for example, if you have an opener that's like 2 Nasus's, 2 Teemos, and a Gwen, it only has 3 Space Groove, but it's actually giving you 5 Space Groove units of attack speed and health regen. So something to consider there with Space Groove is you can do some tricks like it's Double Trouble. So
is Double Trouble still in here? Is Double Trouble gonna be in this set? So what Mod is saying that basically if I play two of the same unit, they both get the buff or something. Actually, never mind.
Okay, Stargazer. I'm not going to go over each one of these too much, but basically, much like, some of our Ionias and Mutant.
Oh, is this like Ionia? I was like, why the hell are they so... I was like, Stargazer, what the heck? Then below is also Stargazer.
So the past, every game it's different. And what's weird is every game that will change the hex formation on your board and the breakpoints, right? So you get some simple ones, for example, like Stargazer. And the other way Stargazer works that's important is the hexes themselves help everyone a little bit, and Stargazers a lot more, right? So let's take Serpent, for example.
Umbrola, like Freyloy,
allies in empowered hexes gain 8% durability. That's all allies. So you play 3 Stargazer, all your allies that are standing in hexes, 8% durability. Then Stargazers in the hex also gain more durability, and they do their damage as poison damage, right? So for example, in today's playtest, I did this with Lulu carry, and Lulu was doing 30% extra damage as poison damage. Cool, but it won't do that to everything. So other ones, for example, are Huntress, which gives attack speed and heals your team. This is good for like Xayah. But there's also some really weird ones in Stargazer.
This one looks like
Mountain is going to be a very popular one.
Yeah, okay? It looks like Divinico.
The Mountain, for example, is
this is your Divinico here.
Every 5-player combat, you just gain a Stargazer emblem.
Gain a free emblem every 5 combats.
And so the idea here is with the mountain, you're building up the mountain until eventually you can actually hit like 11 Stargazer and do some crazy stuff. So that's a pretty unique version.
Okay. Okay, never mind. This is not a divinity core, right? It's only these buffs are only for stargazers. Gain the emblem under 5 combat combats. So if I open, but okay, first I need 3 stargazer to activate this, right? Which means there's 2-1 cores and 1-2 cores, which is pretty feasible. Every 5 player combats, let's see. 5 player combat is basically 1 round, right? Let's say I start with stargazers, so 1 emblem per round. On stage 4, I have 4 extra emblems. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 start. So on stage 5, if you start with stargazers, on stage 5 you have 5 emblems. That's enough to hit 11. You still need a spec or some way to increase your team, or maybe like a Galio-like unit, right? Galio-like unit that can put it on, but basically, after five rounds, you get your prismatic. That's not, and also right, also take note that after let's say okay, no, not stage 5, stage 6 technically. Wait, no, my math is a bit wrong here, right? Because stage 2 is the first stage. Oh, okay, my math is wrong here. I think it's stage 6. Wait. I start on stage 2. After 5 rounds, stage 3 I get 1. Stage 3 I get 1. Stage 2, 4. Stage 3, 5. Okay, never mind. My math is wrong. My math is wrong. Stage 3. So stage 3 you get 1 emblem. Stage 4 you get 1 emblem. Stage 5 you get 1 emblem. Stage 6. On stage 6 you get 4 emblems. Stage 7 then you get your 5 emblems for prismatic. Okay. But the thing is, okay. 1, 2, 3. Stage 3 with 1, stage 4 with 2. Basically, you can keep Stargazer in for. If you can keep Stargazer until stage 5, you could technically drop out of all your Stargazer because you have 3 free emblems and still have Stargazer in. Just on the emblem, so you don't even have to play vertical Stargazer. Okay. On PvE, the player with most health will have random items. The one in the middle will get reforgers, and the ones with the least HP will get component anvils. Oh, I see. So if you are middle or losing, you get free reforgers. Like it's confirmed you get reforgers. Yeah, that does sound OP as well, right? Hey, hello, Dark Circles, hello. Like you play Stargazers, you farm emblems, and maybe you're lose streaking, and then you get free reforgers, you reforge the emblems, and then now you have use the emblems to get like a pivot game plan for your rolldown after lose streaking. Honestly, does it not look like there's a lot of lose streak options in this set? So far we've already seen the what? Of course the lose streak trait, right? Then there was that one. What was it called? There was the reroll trait, right? The reroll trait, primordial. That if you play 3, they always generate a random 1 or 2 calls every turn. So that's just free econ. Stargazer, okay, never mind. Stargazer is only mountain, right? It's like Avonia, right? It's only a certain time that Stargazer will get the trait that you want. So I guess that's that. And then further on, I remember there's also a trait that gives you free rerolls if you lose. Okay, never mind, we'll
Hit
continue.
like 11 Stargazer and do some crazy stuff. So that's a pretty unique version. The Altar is actually only ever a 3. It can't go higher than 3. But as you kill units and things die, you sacrifice and build up to a level where it becomes more powerful in the late game. Pretty neat.
Mm. The altar 3. When any unit dies, they are sacrificed to the altar. So basically, like Shadow Owls, the Souls, Shadow Owls. After 60 sacrifices, Stargazers and Power Hexers gain additional 25% health and 40% attack speed. Wait, is this like a permanent thing? Right? It's not just in combat, right? No way you're getting 60 in a combat. But I guess every 60 souls you get from Stargazer, they get permanent stats from the Hexers? 25% and 40% attack speed does sound a lot for just 60. How many 60? I mean, usually Shadow Owls you get around like 100 at end of stage 3-7. Okay, whatever. Stargazer number 2.
Or the medallion, which again can only ever be a 3.
Stargazer medallion only 3. Allies in empowered hexes gain 15% amp, which increases by 3% for each 3-star in your team. Okay, basically Path of Transcendence, right? Ionia, reroll Path. If you have 3-star, you have more amp, more stats.
Piece, but allies in the hex gain for each 3-star on your team. So this is one where it's like encouraging you to find a reroll line that you can pair well. So you could go like Primordian Stargazer and do some cool stuff there. The Fountain is a mana regen one, but it never really pushes you past 5.
Stargazers chart a different constellation every game. No, allies in empowered hexes gain 1 mana regen. Invoker, but you need to have them in the hexes. Stargazer in empowered hexes gain more and heal. Right, invokers gain more. So if 3, you get 3 mana regen, 10% ability damage heal. 5, you get 5 mana regen, 18% but damage heal, which is basically you get mana regen and hex tag gunblade. Interesting. Last one is.
And then finally we have the Boar, which is kind of like the Ionia gold one, where it's basically you can generate some gold if you win the combat and try to snowball with the Boar.
I'll go Ionia.
And again, each formation is different, pretty cool.
Wait, Timebreaker is the other.
Finally, Timebreaker. We have the 2-piece, which, like I said, when you lose, gain a reroll. When you win, gain an XP core that you can sell. Pretty cool. But then.
Okay, so yeah, basically you're encouraged to lose streak this, right? Because 1 reroll is 2 gold. I'm assuming it's 1 reroll. Gain 3 rerolls. Does it scale with stage like blood? For now, I'll assume it's 1 reroll, 2 gold. When you win, store EXP. How much, right? Let's just assume it's 1. Most of the time it's 1, right? You store 1 EXP. Okay, anyway.
And when you have the 3-piece, you give your whole team 15% attack speed. So you can even go like, you know, Riven plus Pantheon plus Milio and go 3 Timebreaker to give some extra attack speed. I don't usually
so 3 Timebreaker is still a special trait.
And then the 4 pieces, they gain an additional 50%. This is where, again, like for Ezreal reroll, I think Ezreal reroll 4 Timebreaker is really good. So, all right, now I'm going to go fast through the classes here. Bastion, Armor and MR, 2 pieces, a good team-wide aura. Seems pretty good.
Defenders, basically.
Brawler, you're going to see a lot of Brawler. The only thing to call out here is the start, the 2-piece isn't flat. It's just percent. So that's changed, but otherwise Brawler is percent health like it has been. Challenger is they gain some attack speed. When the target dies, they dash and gain a burst of more for a little bit here. So Challengers are definitely very snowbally.
Basically your front line, your fighter units.
Channeler.
Quick Striker. Yeah, it's basically Quick Striker. Quick Striker of fighters, I guess.
This one's interesting. Channelers gain 20% additional mana from all sources. So this is why I was saying like blue buff is really good on channelers.
Invoker.
But you can go Shojin. The only reason I don't like Shojin is because as they channel their spell, you're not taking advantage of the thing like Shojin. But basically you get mana regen for your team and even more for the channelers. So for example, if you're running 4 channeler, your channelers are getting 6 mana regen.
Okay, interesting to know is that this I don't know what's the name for it, right? What's the name? But it's like a single digit. It's not like let's say like Bastion, right, where you need 2, 4, 6 to activate. This one you play 2, 3, 4, 5, it all activate something. Just like Challenger. Challenger is also the same. So which makes it a bit more flexible, I guess.
Okay, Fate Weavers. This is one of the complicated ones.
Because you never have a situation where you say, oh, let's say I want 4 Bastions for the MR thing, but then what if I get a good unit, I want to drop out of 4, then I'm just stuck on awkward 3 Bastions, right? That's not going to happen with this kind of trades. It's very simple to just drop 1 unit to flex in another unit.
So again, Fate Weavers have innate precision. Even at 1, you do not need 2 for this. This is a little confusing. So Caitlyn, Twisted Fate, Corki, and Milio do not need IEJG for their stuff to crit.
Okay. So basically, precision is just being able to crit with their abilities, I guess. How does the innate multiply with adaptive? I'm pretty sure it just adds on. It's not like multiplicative. Like is that? I don't think it's gonna be like channeler times adaptive, right? It's probably adaptive is how much again? Okay, let's just say adaptive is you get 15% more mana from additional sources. It's just gonna plus lah. So it's just gonna be 20% plus 15%. I assume the total will be 35% additional mana. I don't think it's gonna multiply. That's just a bit too OP.
because they have built-in precision. Okay. Now,
Wait, so this is your what? Ambushes and what's this set one? This set there's one this set, right? Wow, I forgot already. I haven't touched set 16 in like a week already. Wait, I got it. Vanquishers. Basically, this is your Vanquisher set. This is your crit set. Your crit trait. Vanquisher trait.
the 2-piece
Fate Weaver. All Fate Weavers can crit with their skills.
is any chance effects on their abilities. So, for example, we talked about how Twisted Fate picked those cards. They'll be lucky. They're
And also they renamed it, right? Just again. Now they no longer say you can crit with your abilities. Now they just call it Fate Weaver. They just call it Precision. So Precision means that you can crit with your ability.
more likely to hit, things like that. So that makes them a little better. And then the 4 pieces, they gain extra crit chance and crit damage. So a 4-piece Twisted Fate 3, for example, is likely to roll higher numbers and hit really hard. I find 4 Fate Weaver to be something that you only play early and then you go back down to 2. But 2 very commonly is really good to play. A common case where I'll play 4 is if I'm playing like Milio reroll or Twisted Fate reroll and find an early Corki, and then my front line. But later I'll have to like supplement more front line, for example. Marauder is interesting in that it gives your team 5% Omnivamp. So 2 Marauder, pretty good to throw in for just that. But then in addition, the Marauders gain even more Omnivamp and AD, as they're all AD champions.
Okay, a lot of splashable traits here, right? A lot of splashable traits, like Challenger gives your team attack speed, Channeler gives your team mana, Marauder gives your team Omnivamp. Quite interesting. But basically, Marauder is just another fighter trait, just Omnivamp and AD, right?
In addition, the
Slayers,
Marauders gain even more Omnivamp and AD.
The only difference between this and
as they're
Slayers is
all
that
AD
this gives your
champions.
team a white buff.
Replicators,
Slayers
as we
doesn't.
talked about, basically their spell casts a second time instantly. It's
Replicator,
instant, so they don't lose
multicaster,
any damage. So, for example, Lulu shoots down a meteor, but instead there will be a second meteor, and that second meteor is at like 25% or 50% strength.
Oh, okay, so they don't. The difference between this is that they don't cast twice, the cast just happens immediately. So, like, instead of them casting twice, right? So, you see the animation twice, it just happens instantaneously, I think, is what I'm saying.
But again,
so I mean, the obvious upside is, of course, it takes less time to cast. You do technically more damage, but I guess the downside is there's less interactions with stuff. Like, let's say you have a Dawn Call, right? You're not gonna multi-snag the Dawn Call.
The fact that it will pick a different target often is really important, and so I find 2 Replicator to be very valuable. Rogue, as I mentioned, this one's really good because Rogues gain AD and AP, but the first time they fall below half health, they slip into the shadows. Basically, with the 2 Rogue, you're getting Edge of Night kind of built into the champion, which is really valuable. So I find 2 Rogue
basically just Edge of Night for
I actually like playing a lot of. But if you go all the way up to 5 Rogue, like 60 AD and AP on 5 units that also have built-in Edge of Night, not bad. Not bad. So definitely an interesting spin on the assassin type. Definitely let us know what you think of Rogue. All right, Shepherd. Like I said, we haven't done this in a long time, but the summon trait is on the classes, not the origins. But basically, 3-piece is a summon, and it's one of those things where like you can't itemize it.
Noxus.
But the 3-piece, the thing to note about the summon is it's a health bar, and it will also give your team some AP, which is good. Cool. The 5-piece, it'll actually do some damage as well. And then if you have an emblem, it does require an emblem, you can get up to the 7-piece. And the 7-piece is where it's like, okay, I'm playing a Shepherd comp. This is really good. There's definitely a lot of cool things you can do with 3 and 5, but 7 will feel like a Shepherd comp. So definitely check that out. Sniper, pretty standard.
Long shot,
do extra damage based on how far away they are.
I always find it a bit weird that they just changed the name arbitrarily. Forgot to say word already. But it's the same shit, right? Like, this thing is really just long shot. Like, every set, there's gonna be an armor trait, there's gonna be a health trait, there's gonna be a durability trait. Vanguard, basically durability or shield trait, protectors and Vanguard and whatever. But every set, I know they do it just because, like, so that you can differentiate set to set, right? Because it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird if this set you have this and then next set is gonna be the same names. But then again, it's like, I don't know. It's like they keep changing. They keep interchanging between the two, cycling over and over again. Obviously, long shot here.
Vanguard, pretty standard
Vanguard is
as
basically
well.
Juggernauts
Gain
now,
shields.
right? Juggernaut. Wait, what? Do we have a shield trait in set 16? We do, right? Wardens. Oh, hold on, no. Voyager is just Wardens then. Then the suit is just Juggernaut or something.
When they get low, gain another shield.
Vanguard is usually
Pretty
just
cool.
Juggernaut
And then Voyager, as I described,
plus Bastion.
your tanks and fighters gain a shield for 15 seconds. Your other allies gain damage amp, and Voyagers gain double. So again, kind of that flex strategist kind of thing we've seen.
Okay, Voyager is a flex, I guess.
Okay, there are champs and traits. I probably talked too long.
Okay, we'll come back. Whatever is this? The gods later. Okay, we go back to the units. Hello, Monzadong. Is that your only 3 units?
Primary guy, you get their like big ultimate attack. And so all 3 of those things have to be considered with each Nova champion as we talk about it. So Aatrox, for example, it gives you, because you can a little bit and does damage based on. So Briar's kind of weird in that regard, but again, much like last set, Briar as a 1 cost if you have some good AD items, playing around Rogue, like I said, you can still use her to kind of carry the early game.
A bit faster.
All right, Caitlyn.
Caitlyn, attacks have a chance to fire an empowered headshot, dealing damage plus bonus damage, physical damage. Attacks have a chance to fire empowered headshot. Does that make her attack speed marksman? Because like, I mean, usually Caitlyn is not attack speed, right? Usually Caitlyn is like, you want to cast and do big damage, but she has no cast. She's manaless. Right? She only has a passive, which just say attacks have a chance to do something. So do you not want to just put Green Suits and like Flicker Blade and shit, make her attack more?
Caitlyn's another Nova champion. As far as Caitlyn herself, she's a weird champ. You're going to want Ginsu's on her more than just AD. Her attack speed's very, very slow. And the more attacks she gets, the more...
That's weird though. That's like basically like this set, at the start of the set when Jin scaled well with Green Suits, right? Then people were saying, oh, it's weird to see Jin attack fast. Wouldn't it be weird to see Caitlyn attack fast as well?
More chances she has at proccing with Fate Weaver. She has no mana. She's a manaless champion.
Yep.
But basically,
Choresis.
There's a chance it'll be an empowered headshot, which will do bonus damage. Which is pretty good. So like I said, having Ginsu's means you'll get more shots at that. If you have Fate Weaver active, you'll get more chances at that. But overall, you know, Ginsu's plus Deathblade, pretty common build. Now her Nova passive is attack speed for your whole team, which can be okay. It's really good in the early game. It's not one that I feel like you have to keep in as long, but you know, if you want to, you can. But overall, that is pretty valuable. So, okay, and then obviously her Nova Ultimate. Now again, this is where if you have a Caitlyn 3, for example, which I don't know will be the most common build, but Caitlyn 3 is not bad if you have the right items for her. You can make it work. And her Nova Ultimate, actually what it does is every time an enemy gets low enough, she will fire a headshot at them. So it's actually a good amount of damage. So definitely if you have a 3-star Caitlyn, consider making her your Nova choice. Otherwise, not really worth doing. But if you find yourself with a Caitlyn 3, she's not bad.
Yeah, hello, Otto Kudo. Right. Thanks for follow.
Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is kind of a reprint of set 9 Cho'Gath with a lot more twists.
3-star fight
he's the stacking HP, you know, big bruise brawler that you can get going, right? And so if you have an early Cho'Gath too...
Cho'Gath, Dark Star, and Brawler, very good. Cho'Gath is probably going to be a splash unit, right? Dark Star, that's a super insane splash trait. Brawler, bruisers, basically, just HP for your whole team. I can see Cho'Gath being in a lot of bots, linking to a lot of like high cost units. Just for the traits. Deal max health magic damage to the lowest health enemy in range. Permanently gain bonus health per cast. If this kills them, devour them and permanently gain max health instead. Ooh. Okay. Reroll Cho'Gath just cause he can stack max health. One issue though. He's a 1 cost, right? He's a 1 cost. Let's compare him to, let's say the closest example maybe is Sion in this set. Sion is a 2 cost. 3-starring Sion is a bit, he's gonna be a bit stronger. Actually, 3-star Sion is super strong, right? After you get the stacks going. 3-star Cho'Gath? 3-star 1 cost unit? I don't know how long that's gonna last, right? The stacking has to go crazy. If not, I don't think a 3-star Cho'Gath is gonna like carry his weight late game. and you want him to kill, right? You want him to kill things, and as a tank killing things, Sion just needs a takedown. Technically, Cho'Gath doesn't need to kill things to get the stacks, but he does get more stacks from killing things, so that's a bit weird also. Like, do I want to start building AP items on Cho'Gath just so they can kill shit? And also, right, this Cho'Gath does sound like a hero omen unit. Like I can very easily see a hero omen for Cho'Gath. Like imagine hero omen. Cho'Gath is a range carry at the behind and you just shoot shit or something. Like Mundo, right? Like the throw the chair Mundo from the Lucador set, the fruit set. Yo, everyone's familiar with set 15.
Or if you can somehow guarantee a Cho'Gath 3 or build a Bud Cho'Gath is obviously going to be very good.
Nam, you just ate. Can you summarize the meta? I don't know the meta, bro. I don't know the meta. I'm just
He will stack
I'm as
HP,
lost as you
but
are.
unlike the last time he was around, it's not just off kills, it's off of casts. So making him tanky early can get you more casts, which is really good. So definitely want to have that going. And then the other thing to note here is he's got a lot of value in that he's Darkstar, and 2 Darkstar is going to be a very powerful splash trait, the
That's what I
ability
say,
to
right?
execute units.
Let's
2
see a
Brawler,
splash
which is
unit.
always very popular, we know that. So all of that's really good.
Holy shit!
So again, this Cho'Gath, I think, if you can get him stacking
Guys,
and get
am
him
I
going, ends up
smart
being
at
very powerful, can
TFT?
hit that 10,000 health, which is really good. But, you know, late game, he's not going to be somebody you're going to want on your comp. But yeah, that cool stacking
I
Cho'Gath
can
that can
see
get
the
really big, very
future.
fun. And there's also other mechanics in the set, like Yasuo's Cosmic Hex, for example, that can give you even more HP on top of it.
Nam, do you have a PP account? You don't have one. Do I? I don't know. Okay, I don't know about PBE on PC. On mobile, you can just download that you can just go to the App Store. I mean, I use the Google Play Store. You search Riot or you just search TFT PBE or something. They have a separate mobile app just for PBE that you can just go and use.
So Cho'Gath can definitely be a really scary champion. All right, Ezreal. Ezreal is an interesting champion because much
Ezreal, Timebreaker is sniper. Timebreaker is the econ trait for losing or winning, I guess. Fire a blast at the current target that deals damage every takedown. Every whatever takedowns gain a drone that deals drone damage, physical damage to the current target on cast. Is this permanent or only in combat? Doesn't sound like it's permanent. If it's permanent, he can be stacking champion, but doesn't sound like every takedown. I'll just let Mod say, right?
like Cho'Gath, he's a stacking champion. If you get an early Ezreal,
Your region
build him
doesn't
up,
have
get him to
it.
3-star. Every
What region is
takedown you
that?
get will get you building him some drones. So he can actually scale into the late game, which is really good. So if you're looking for a 1-cost reroll, he's pretty good.
Oh, okay, so he stacks. Oh, interesting. Cho plus Ezreal might be funny. Yeah, maybe. Like Ezreal does the damage and Cho does the kills because Ezreal doesn't need kills, right? He just needs takedowns. What could we compare to this guy, Ezreal? I don't think we have a stacking AD champion this set, right? Yeah, that's interesting. But then again, one more thing to know again, right? He is a 1-cost. Like compared, like he's not a 2-cost, right? 2-cost or 3-cost, will carry his weight in the late game if you stack well. 1-cost, I don't know, man. I don't know.
The other thing is that even as an opener, he's kind of weak as an opener, but he's a time breaker. And 2 time breaker openers are going to be very popular, and that 2 time breaker is essentially like having a bard on your board. If you win with 2 time breaker, you're going to get an XP that you can like sell right away for 1 XP or leave it on your bench, however you want to do it. But if you lose, you get a reroll. And so basically, you know, you can use like an Ezreal time breaker to like fast 8 if you want, which can be pretty good. But otherwise, you know, standard 1-cost AD carry. So, but again, the stacking is the thing that makes him really strong. So if you have good items for him,
where's
can win
SBR
fights,
episode
consider
2?
playing him and try to
No
snowball.
idea
He's
what
definitely a snowball
SBR is.
champion. So, all right, Leona. Leona is like the most boring, not like boring bad, but just like she's a standard 1-cost tank. She's tanky. She's got a lot of health. She scales with armor and MR, which it's fine. Like she's a tank.
Yeah,
The reason to consider Leona though is that she's an arbiter. Arbiter is a trait that'll allow you to like custom make your own trait, and arbiter in the right cases is actually like very over budget. So it's very powerful if you have like a really good LeBlanc setup, for example. Another thing arbiter can do is there's actually an output of arbiter that will spawn more Leonas. So it's actually possible to get like Leona 3 very early, or even Leona 4. Is definitely something you consider. So something you can do is like hit Leona, use arbiter to hit Leona 3, then move out into like a standard Vanguard. So that's pretty cool, and that's what makes her unique. Is just her ability to sometimes get 3-starred pretty quick. But yeah, and like I said, she'll enable arbiter, which we'll talk about later. All right, Lissandra.
3 trait. Darkstar, Shepherd, Replicator. Shepherd is a summon trait. Darkstar is the splash trait that's very good, right? 2 Darkstar and your whole team just executes the enemy team at 10% health. And Replicator, which is double casting. Hurl a dagger towards the crown target, dealing magic damage to the first target it hits. After hitting its initial target or its final destination, the dagger explodes, dealing. Okay, so AoE lah basically. Cock more. Just imagine the cock more, I guess. Without the decreasing magic resist, but just cock more.
Has a 3 trait unit,
Right,
so she
three
doesn't
trait
actually
as
end up
well.
being that strong, but her traits are really valuable, so she'll end up on a lot of boards. We already talked about 2 Darkstar. It's going to be an execute. 3 Shepherd is a very good opener.
Fourth
It's the
Gosu.
summon
Yeah,
trait of the
Anima
set.
is
Now, what's
basically
interesting is
install. No,
this
not
is the
install.
first time in a
Anima
while the
is
summon has been a
Canberra.
class.
Anima is
It's not an
Canberra.
origin, but you can do some cool Shepherd openers, much like 3 Noxus opener right now for comparison. And then Replicator, 2 Replicator is basically like a second light double cast, but Replicators definitely want 2 Replicator active just for the ability to spread their damage, which is really good. So all of that to say is that, again, I think you'll see a lot of Lysandra on openers, but don't expect her to necessarily wow you with tons and tons of damage. It's more about her traits that she's enabling. So,
Yeah,
and as a
cock
3-trait
more,
unit, that's
basically
just
cock
true.
more.
All right, Nasus.
Hey, yo, Nessus, chill out, bro. Hey, why does it kind of look like he's doing uh kind of looks like I guess Elon Musk would call it a Roman salute.
Nasus is another 1-cost tank. Not going to do anything.
Pots on the combat mechanic this set. It feels overpowered, getting extra component but neutral. I haven't heard much about the combat mechanic yet. Maybe mod would go into it in this patch rundown.
Crazy here, but the thing that makes Nasus a little more valuable than the other 1-cost tanks is Space Groove is a 1/3/5/7, and so just by playing Nasus by himself as Space Groove.
But I like to say that for now, I've read through the traits already, right? There are a lot of traits that can make a loss streak strong. Like basically you have the Timekeeper trait that every loss you get a reroll, right? You have Primordial, which just can farm you Econ, and you have the loss streak trait, of course, Anima. What does Arbiter do? Okay, it's very confusing. Just know that Arbiter is you remember Arcana from the magic and witchcraft set or something? It's kind of like that. Where if you play Arbiter, you get to choose. I think you get to choose a specific buff. Then you just stick with that buff. So there are a lot of Arbiter stuff that I have not seen. I don't think Mod showed either. So that's that.
Groove. You get some of that passive healing that's built in. So like a 2 Nasus, 2 Vanguard opener, or sorry, 2-star Nasus Vanguard opener, where he has like a Warmogs and something else, can actually be like one of the more insane openers. Basically, he has the highest peak of any of the 1-cost tanks just for that reason. So he can be pretty good.
Transform, temporarily gaining max health and dealing damage to adjacent enemies each second, while transform Nessus in the groove.
He does fall off pretty hard though. I don't expect you to see like a 3-cost or 3-star Nasus a ton, even as we tune things. But if you want to go the Space Groove line, obviously he's going to be okay, especially because he's trait pairs with Blitzcrank in the late game. But yeah, standard tank. Poppy's pretty similar actually in that regard. You'll play Poppy a lot. Poppy's one of the like lower ones.
Gain shield for 100 seconds for the duration. Allies within 2 hexes gain resist. Gain armor and magic resistance. Bonus Meeps grant shield to the nearest ally for that's just generic support tank.
Cost tanks. She's fine. She does her job. She provides an aura every time she casts, so she'll make other tanks good. So she's somebody you want to play if you have like a good like Aatrox plus Poppy opener is I think pretty solid. Obviously she can get into Meeple though. Meeple is one of our pretty easy to play verticals, which we'll talk about later. But Poppy's a good tank. All right, Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is like the champion you play.
Primordian. That's the reroll trait. Brawler. So he's a tank. Rek'Sai is a tank. Heal health, then briefly knock out adjacent enemies and deal damage. Okay, so 1-cost unit with a frontline stun. Sounds alright.
Play with Cho'Gath if you're playing Cho'Gath, or Rek'Sai is your Primordian tank that can be the star of that Primordian comp. So again, pretty standard here. Tank, heal, keep alive. Nothing crazy as far as Rek'Sai's kit. Just again, kind of really enables those 2 comps. I think she's generally pretty powerful. So, all right, Talon. Talon's a weird one.
Are there a lot of vertical comms? I don't know. I don't know how well the vertical comms do. Talon. Stargazer and Rogue. Okay, Rogue is the free edge of night, right? Rogue is the free edge of night. Stargazer is the Ionia. It's like Ionia, which changes every game. Stab the target, causing them to bleed over seconds. After the attack, lead to the highest percent health enemy within. Oh. So he's like a reverse assassin. He's a reverse assassin. Like the assassins jump to the lowest health and try to kill them, right? This guy just jumps to the tankiest guy. I mean, okay, no, wait. Highest percent health, right? So it's not highest health, which means okay, depends. Okay, for now they're not telling us that how many hexes he can jump within, but I can see a world where this is what happens, right? You position him maybe at the side. He walks in towards a tank here, and because you're attacking the tank, right? The tank is no longer the one with the highest percent HP. And if you attack the front line as well, right? The front line has lesser health, so they're not the one with the highest percent HP. Which means the only person you can jump to is the back line, because the back line has the highest percent HP, because they're undamaged. So I can see that happening where you can position like that and jump to the back line. But does he have the enough damage to kill them before his next cast? I don't think so. Yeah, he has 30 mana. He's gonna be jumping around. He's not gonna kill them, right? Which will be a problem. Because after you deal damage to the back line, they'll bleed out. I'm sure the front line will have like higher percent HP units that you can jump to.
Don't sleep on Talon, but Talon's actually really powerful. Just figuring out his item build is going to be the thing that I think surprises a lot of people. But what Talon does is he stabs the target and they start bleeding, and the bleed takes a long.
I'd say Talon's build, right? Talon sounds like a Diana build, right? Sounds like it's gonna be a Diana build where you want Guinsus to scale, because he's not a fast killer, right? He does bleed damage and he just jumps around, attacking the highest health units or targeting the highest health units. So it seems like he wants to be in a long fight. So basically, it's just the Diana build Guinsus, Titans just for CC immunity and the stats, right? Free stats, and then just Omnivamp so you can heal back. Plus, because of the rogue trait, he gets a free Edge of Night. So yeah, it seems like it's gonna be a Diana build. Does sound fun to play Talon if we do a Talon reroll. He does sound like a fun unit to watch, right?
Time. It has a pretty high duration. But then he, 30 mana, he'll then jump to a new target that's not bleeding. So he's kind of like the dot mage that you see in a lot of comps. So what's interesting is if you can give him like an Edge of Night and a lot of damage, he can go around and like get everyone bleeding. And then if you have a pretty good front line, actually do a surprising amount of damage. And the fact he's Rogue has like a built-in Edge of Night effect as well.
Yeah. He has, bro. I was wondering why Mod is asking us to build Edge of Night on the unit that has free Edge of Night already. You forgot
so
Mod.
He can do a lot. It's really just about keeping him alive so that bleed can do a lot of damage. If he gets targeted, he'll die very quickly. But stacking him up can be pretty good.
He gets
I like this guy. I think he's very powerful. Again, I like dot mages. And then he also enables Stargazer. So if you've got that Jax and can get a Stargazer opener, he can do some good things. But really just a Talon too with some good items that can stay alive. He can be a really strong opener. Speaking of strong openers, Teemo,
Space Groove, and that's one of the verticals. Shepherd is the summoning trait. Passive, attacks deal bonus magic damage and additional stacking magic damage over poison duration seconds. While an enemy has groove stacks or more stacks, Teemo is in a groove. Okay, so basically Teemo, like, he's a basically poison guy, right? And if he has a certain amount of poison, a certain amount of enemies are poisoned, he enters the flow state. Active, gain attack speed for how many attacks? Okay.
Weird champion this set. The thing that might catch you off guard is that Teemo with a Ginsu's, he's a Ginsu's user. He's not a caster. But with the Ginsu's, I think he is the strongest opener. And again, tunings can change, but Teemo with a Ginsu's can really melt down tanks. Because the way he works is he hits the target,
you're always in your flow
does some
state.
bonus on hit
Hey, that's set to heal.
and then has a stacking
My bad,
poison.
my
So the more you
condolences,
hit,
bro.
the more that stack goes, and the more you
like,
can start
imagine
to,
hitting your flow.
imagine
Hitting your flow state and still
example,
being Heartstar Master Zero. My condolences, bro. Like, you literally just reached your cap,
really
right?
good at
My
taking
bad,
that down over time compared to everyone else in the one cost space. So I really like Teemo as with Ginsu's user. Now Teemo,
wow, that's what you say yourself, right?
A little too weak in the late game. He's
what
not
do you
mean? Stars, but just generally a pretty good opener.
You flame yourself, bro. What do you mean?
Ready to go.
You're always in your flow state. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Since like the influencer saw him.
You never say in TFT. Then in what? In what? How am I supposed to know? You're in a TFT streamer, bro. Like what else am I supposed to assume? What, you're in a flow state? What? Shitting? Like you get your shits out so nicely because you're in a flow state. Shitting flow state. Hey, hello, Moon Level, hello. You play Yotel just with 4 Silence Arcanist. Easy win. Low skill lobby obviously because they let you hit your Arcane spot. Yeah, hello Sleazy Hood. Hey, Striker, hello, Striker. It was double up. Okay, double up is even worse, bro. Stopping by, hey. Have a good sleep, bro. Have a good sleep. Jogging. Yeah, hey. Whatever. Jay says that he's in a flow state whenever he's jogging. Like, he's always in a flow state jogging. Twister Fate, Stargazer, Fate Weaver. So, Vanquisher. Draw a card with a value between 1 and... Bro, I read draw a card and immediately I thought this is a good card. Right, because I've been playing Slay the Spire. Anyway, I just read draw a card. Oh shit, that's a good card. Draw a card with a value between 1 and 9 by chance, then throw it at the target. Based on the card drawn, deal damage. Overkill damage bounces nearby enemy. Okay, so basically just deal damage. Overkill gets carried over.
But basically, the way he works is he'll pick a number 1 through 9, and he'll do damage based off that. So if you hit a 1, he's going to do his lowest amount of damage. If you do a 9, he'll do his biggest amount of damage. Now, the spread is not so extreme that it's like 100 damage and 500 damage. It's not that crazy. So low rolling here isn't going to make too big a difference. But you can lose as much as like 30% of your damage from a 9 to a 1. The big thing here is if you have 2 Fate Weaver in, he'll always pick the highest number. So 2 Fate Weaver, you don't want to play him without 2 Fate Weaver, because that will make those 1s become more likely like 4s and 5s and 6s. So that's really valuable here. But otherwise, he's a pretty standard AP caster. Your Shojin JG or your Nashor's JG can do some big damage. The overkill bounces. Only other fun thing to note is when he is 3-star. So if, like, let's say you get a Build-A-Bud or you want to reroll him, if he rolls a 9 when he's 3-starred, you'll gain some gold. So if you want to use him as an engine, you can. It's only at 3-star.
Okay.
So I think when the influencers played it, it was any star level.
3-star Fate Prince money.
So. And then finally, Veigar. Veigar is in a...
Veigar, Meeple Replicator. Call down a Meteor on the target that deals damage. Okay, it's just
weird spot right now. He's not one of my favorite openers personally, but he does have a high cap. Again, you'll want Replicator, you'll want Meeple, but as an opener, he ends up being a little weak because of his scaling with those traits. But once you get him going and you have like 2 items for this guy, he actually does pump out a lot of damage. So, if you have a couple of Veigars, maybe consider like Lost Streak and to convert him into 3-star, or save the items for someone else like a Nami. But overall, he enables the Meeple line. He can enable replicators. His traits are solid. But yeah. All right, 2 cost. Akali. Akali is...
Oh, Akali. What is Akali gonna do? Nova. If I remember correctly, Akali gives... I should remember. Never mind. I think Mort will say Marauder, which is the fighter trait. Right. The Omnivan fighter trait. Reposition next to the target to strike the most enemies. So she's still always going to be stuck on the target. So if I attack a tank, I'm still going to be stuck on a tank. It's just that I reposition like Kiana. Right, like Kiana to hit the most targets. Instead, I assume Akali can teleport to the most AoE, the most AoE you can hit, because that's what it implies, right? Because it says reposition, it doesn't say dash. It doesn't say dash. It says reposition. Reposition. Okay, we will see. Throw piercing kunais, each dealing damage to the first enemy hit, reduced to a certain amount for subsequent targets. Kunai remove armor. Kunais remove armor. And increase. So basically, removing armor, increase and removes more armor in the crit.
A weird champion.
Okay,
she's like another.
Sounds okay lah. Not gonna be any crazy backline shit.
Melee AD champion, that once you're like your BTs, your Edge of Knights. Marauder gives her some built-in Omnivamp as well. She actually does a surprising amount of damage if you get her like IE, so definitely consider that. Now, it's funny, I just said IE. Don't actually build IE on her, sorry. The reason you don't build IE on her is because her Nova passive is, I think, one of the better ones. It gives your entire team precision. Now, what is precision?
Oh, right.
Precision is just the fancy keyword now for spell crit. So IE grants precision. JG.
So if you have an Akali with 2 Nova in, your whole team just can crit with the abilities. No need to build IE or GG.
Grants precision. Jeweled Lotus grants precision. All those effects that we used to just be like, now your spells can crit, is called precision. So basically, having an Akali on your board means everyone on your team's spells can crit.
Just
repeat.
That
sounds really powerful.
Spell crit has now it's a keyword.
It's
called precision.
So, for example, if you just have like a Corki in the back or someone, not Corki is a bad example, but like I say, Caitlyn, that's even worse example. A Gnar on your board. Gnar only has a 25% crit rate, so you'll want to build crit items to go with the Akali. But if you do it right, much like Vanquisher in the last set, you can run like a Stride Breaker plus a Quicksilver and then actually have a good amount here with the Akali to provide that spell crit.
It's a stupid change. Why?
And then as far as her effect goes, her Nova ultimate, again, if you have an Akali 3, consider making her the...
Yeah, you're right, huh? I guess okay, no, I guess the thing is, you call it spell crit, right? Is that not like that's like a what's it called? It's not exactly like crit. It's not exactly an official term, is it? Do they use crit? They do use crit. Okay, never mind. They are using crit. Never mind. Yeah, you know you're right, oh. Just say your spell can crit, oh. Are there any like misunderstandings like are caused by this? I don't think so. Yeah, actually you're right, oh. Spell crit is just precision. Yeah. Damn.
Nova ultimate. She'll do a bunch of bonus damage and jump around to people. So pretty good.
No, like, okay, I guess more level. The thing is, right, if they want to say a unit can crit their spell, they are gonna have to word it like this unit's ability can crit. Like Vega, right? I guess maybe they just don't want to phrase it like this unit has spell crit. Which is why they are just replacing spell crit with a more like official sounding term. This unit has precision.
There. But again, really only if you have an Akali 3.
What kind of video
and
I'm
Akali
watching?
3, I think what you'll probably see more with Akali
Whatever
3
does
anyway,
the
is less
job,
5
whatever
Nova and more
finds
like
me the video.
Marauder plus strong traits and things like that. But she will be pretty strong on PBE. She's definitely someone who can do well. She might fall off in the late game though, but yeah. All right, Bel'Veth.
Bel'Veth, 3 traits: Primordial, the reroll trait; Challenger, the attack speed trait; Marauder, the Omnivam fighter trait. Omnivam AD fighter trait. Unleash a flurry of slashes at the current target over however much seconds, dealing damage. The big question is whether the flurry of slashes count as attacks, I guess. Like can they do shit like let's say with the what Darkin weapon like Darkin bow, can it activate Darkin bow? Can it activate Gambler's Blade and farm me money? Right. Or is it just a skill?
Bel'Veth has 3 traits: Challenger, Marauder. So yeah, if you want to go like Akali plus Bel'Veth, you can.
Synthesis.
Primordian though,
you guess they want an
Bel'Veth is the
official
third
term for
Primordian
can
and the
crit.
2-cost Primordian. So the one that really
Well,
caps
yeah,
Primordian
but then
the
Modiver's point is that you can just say spell crit, right? The spell can crit. Yeah, but I do think spell crit maybe they just don't like the precision just more official lah. But then again, yeah lah, I'm maybe torn lah. Spell crit does sound intuitive.
Does a lot of rapid attacks, uses Challenger well. Ginsu's can be good because the total number of slashes does scale with attack speed. So she's a good carry.
Dude,
and like I said, if you're playing reroll Bel'Veth, you're playing Primordian most likely. Primordian's going to scale her up the most. She is kind of that primary carry of Primordian. All right, Gnar. Gnar is kind of your item holder for Corki.
Gnar, Sniper, Beeple. Every 5th attack, launch a returning boomerang at a target that travels 2 hexes past the first enemy it hits. Mana-less champion also. Doesn't have mana. Just Guinsoo user. Alright, just Guinsoo, just shoot as many attacks as you can. 5th attack is enhanced basically.
In the Meeple line,
but
can actually be played reroll as well. Does really well with Ginsu's. Pretty common. You want that like Ginsu's IE opener. Like Caitlyn's one of them. Gnar is another one here. Every 5 attacks launches a boomerang that does some bonus damage, which is really good. And if you have like a 3 Meeple 2 sniper opener, Gnar can be a very good carry, and it's going to PBE probably pretty strong.
Okay, now this does give me flashbacks to which set was that? Ryef Jin, right? Ryef sniper 2-cost Jin with Malphite, crew Malphite, right? You remember Malphite sniper hero? I feel like I do want to try cooking out some Gnar Eurocom snipers. Gnar snipers, right? Just find a good front line, then just stack snipers at the back. Gnar just keeps stacking. We could try that as a 2-cost hero.
So definitely consider him as your opener, and there might be some Gnar reroll as well. So, all right, Gragas.
Gragas. That does not look like Gragas. Never mind. Looks more like Urgot. Right, looks more like Urgot. Like the face mask and shit. Heal over however seconds, then deal magic damage to adjacent enemies and chill them. Okay, just the tank that can heal and chill.
Gragas is...
Jeha, you're more excited on the units than the new setup. What do you mean new setup?
A pretty standard 2-cost
Yeah,
tank.
you
He's
mean
got
a new
Brawler,
set
which is good here,
mechanic?
but in terms of utility, again, Gragas is, I think, going to be one of the MVPs of this set as far as openers go because he's got Brawler, which we've talked about numerous times here, but also Psionic. Psionic is a very powerful trait in that the 2-piece basically gives you a bonus item, and that bonus item can be played on anyone. It does not have to be played on a Psionic unit. So, for example, if you have like Gragas plus
Gregors,
Victor,
yeah. Oh, Gregors might be another one of those units that just wants to be on every board. Every late game board is gonna have him. Right, Brawler for the AoE buff. In fact, might just play him Brawler, right? Then you have like high cost Brawler as your main tank. Just play 2 Brawlers in. Psionic just gives you a free item. I feel like a lot of fast 9 bots will want Psionic as well. Plus he has chill. He has the unique ability to chill. And especially since this set, it looks like there's gonna be a lot of frontline attackers, right? You have Challenger, and you have Rogues, and you have the what they call it? Marauder. Yeah, Marauder. There's like 3 traits that are fighter centric. So frontline chill is gonna be a lot more useful. The next set runs are more flex, they said. Don't they always say it's more flex though? Yeah, but to be fair, there are a lot of flex traits here. There are a lot of flex traits. There is a lot of traits where just a 2-piece is strong enough to give like your whole board strength instead of just the unit itself. I mean, just look at Psionic basically says that if you have 2 Psionic, right, you just get a free item. You can put that on anybody. Doesn't have to be a Psionic unit. Like imagine Exotech, right? Exotech, but the Exotech item you can put on anybody. Doesn't have, you can just put on anybody.
or Gragas plus Pike, all of a sudden you're up an item, which is a very powerful thing, especially in the early game. So, you know, I see a lot of like Brawler Psionic openers, or like I said, if you get like a Victor out of a box, it's a pretty common thing to go like Channeler plus Brawler and do some cool things there. So definitely consider that. But like I said, you'll see Gragas on a lot of boards just for that reason. Gwen. Gwen is a weird champ this set. I mean, she's a weird champ every set. It's a lot like set 16 Gwen, but she has Rogue to help keep her alive. And, you know, it's the same like snip and dash. Rogue is really good. Space Groove is fine on her. If you have a bunch of AP items for her, though, and she gets a bunch of resets, because she's kind of like Katarina from back in the day, where if she gets a kill, she'll jump to the next target and do it again. And if you can get her to 3-star early, like a worth the wait Gwen is definitely worth playing. Because oftentimes you also find she just like randomly ends up on the backline and like will melt the backline. She has the same problem a lot of melee champions do, which is she can get stuck on a tank. But if you can get her to dash past that tank, she can do some really cool things. So, you know, just a good AP carry. All right, Jack.
The items when we have a balance. Yeah, I feel like the items will be less valuable, less strong than a normal item. Surely, Psionic item must be like a bit weaker than a normal item. Can't be stronger, right? Yeah, hello, it's Simboy Summer. Holy Rizzler. You? Wait, sorry. Gwen attacks deal magic damage. Gwen is in the groove while targeting an enemy below a certain health threshold. So it's in the she's in the zone, she enters flow state where she attacks someone who is weaker than her. she likes to bully. Active dash to a nearby hex to steal the lowest percent health enemy. Dealing damage in a cone. If this kills, dash and snip again at a certain damage. Okay. So she has multi-cast potential, depends on how much damage she can do though. Jax, Stargazer, and Bastion. Enter defensive stance for how many seconds, reducing incoming damage by whatever, and gaining shield. When the stance ends, strike all nearby enemies, dealing damage, and stunning them for... Okay, another stun tank. Just frontline stun tank. Just sounds like a basic tank.
Jax. Jax, as far as his spell goes, nothing gonna blow you out of the water here. He's a tank. He's kind of like a Leona from last set, where during his spell he's got some of that flat damage reduction. Scales with armor and MR. So
please explain what groove is.
But the thing to note about Jax is if you can get a Jax early,
I never know
he's
if
kind
you
of like the linchpin of
you.
Stargazer. You often have the Twisted Fate, the Talon, but the Jax is the hard part to get Stargazer active. And Stargazer is a trait that if you can play it, definitely is fun to play. It's got these powerful hexes, and each game it changes what it is. So I always look at, like, anytime I see an early Jax, it's like, let me check the Stargazer, let me see if that's worth going into, let me see if I have the other units, and if so, I'm probably going to lean into that. So again, he's got that powerful trait worth playing.
I don't know.
All right, Jinx.
Jinx. That's a very short description, bro.
Jinx. It's like, let me.
Look at these guys. Blah, 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 blah. Gwen. Blah, 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 blah. Jax. Blah, 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 blah. Jinx. Boom. Anima Challenger. Loose streak. The loose streak trait plus attack speed trait. Fire a barrage of rockets that scale attack speed in a cone, each dealing damage to the first target hit. Sounds pretty basic.
Is an interesting champion. You're not going to play her as a primary carry too much. In fact, she kind of has this weird thing where, because her spell scales with attack speed a bit, I find her to be pretty bad in the early game, but that's okay because she's Anima. And again, Anima is the lost streak trait of the set. So often what happens is you get a Jinx, you play some Anima, you lose, then power up and hit the Jinx 3, and actually she's a beast. Like, for a lot of our playtests in the last couple weeks, Jinx 3 with like 3 items has been very, very powerful. So just calling that out, though, that, like, you know, let's say you start with like a Jinx 2 from
YouTube video,
Warpath or something. That's not actually the best spot to be in, but she does scale really well.
Depends on how well Challenger is.
Kind of
but forcing the Challenger is a bit.
That's the other thing too, is don't play her without attack speed. Even though her spell is doing most of her damage, because the spell has an attack speed scaler, you really
looking down on Challenger, you think it's very easy to like force a
Alright, Meepsy, fun little champion here. Like, a little Meep controlling a space
unless
golem.
Challenger is like
Meepsy's very cool. Really, really good traits. Kind of has that curse where, because the traits are so good, probably isn't going to be like an overpowered champion by any means, but has Shep.
I'm built different. In your eyes, maybe. Meepy, Shepherd, Voyager. Voyager, what was that again? If I remember correctly, Voyager is like strategy's trait, right? I think it gives your tanks shield and your other units damage amp. So heal over how many seconds, slam the target. Wait. Who the hell is Meepsy? Whose self-insert character is this? Whose OC is this? Who the hell is Meepsy? No way this is a League character, right? Is Meepsy a character in League? Scratched off. How to play set 70 versus normal players. I don't know what I mean. I don't know what that means. If you're asking me how to play set 70, I wouldn't know. It's not. I don't think I haven't touched the game yet. Who the hell is Meepsy? What the fuck?
The summon, which we talked about, has Meeple, which we talked about is kind of like the big vertical, makes her good. And what's interesting is Meeple scales each Meep person in a different way, and Meepsy's scaling is all healing received.
Isn't that bots Meeps?
So this is where things like Spirit Visage is really good on Meepsy. If you have like Spirit Visage Warmogs plus something else, or if someone else on your team has a Gunblade and you want to run Meepsy as a primary tank, you can do some cool stuff there. And then finally Voyager. Voyager's a lot like Strategist in the past, where your front line gets a shield, your back line gets some damage amp, and then the Voyagers get more. So Voyager also makes her kind of flex in that regard. So like Shepherd, Voyager, flex between the two is a pretty common thing you can do. So because of that, Meepsy has very valuable traits. So, all right, Milio.
Milio, Timebreaker, and Fate Weaver. Kick a ball at an enemy that deals damage. On impact, the ball has a chance to bounce to a new target. These bouncers can trigger additional bouncers. Okay.
Milio is a lot like Ezreal in the sense that, like, if you have a Milio opener, you're looking for that Timebreaker, fast 8, use that to play well. Milio reroll is... It won't be something I think we see a lot of unless you get like worth the wait. It's not that he's weak by any means, but it's like you have to have Timebreaker and Fate Weaver, which can sometimes lead you to not have a ton of frontline. But again, if you find yourself with a bunch of Milios, it's kind of the same as it's a different skill, but basically it's a lot like.
I mean, you don't need Timebreaker, right? You could just play Fate Weaver Milio. Why would you need Timebreaker in? Timebreaker 2-piece only gives you Econ, right? Like you can just drop out of it after a while. You probably don't want to play Timebreaker in permanently. I don't think you want 3 Timebreaker as well. It's probably just Fate Weaver and frontline. If you are thinking of playing Milio reroll.
Last set's Milio as far as itemization. You want him casting a bunch. You want like a JG on him. Actually, sorry, you don't need JG. I haven't explained Fate Weaver yet. Fate Weaver's weird in that Fate Weaver champ.
The blue golem has a guy piloting it. I don't think so.
Champions inherently have precision, so all of them don't need JG. But again, Fate Weavers have a lower base spell crit than, I mean, everyone has that low spell crit, 25%. So you still want crit items on him to take advantage of it. So Milio is someone you play if you have like a Stride Breaker or a Nashers. Like Milio is probably the best Nashers user in the set. And then his Fate Weaver thing is like basically every time his ball bounces, there's a chance it'll bounce again and bounce again. And so if you have 2 Fate Weaver in, you're going to get a lot of bounces to make sure you get the highest possible chance it bounces. So he can do a lot of damage. Channeler gives your team that much.
Mordekaiser, 3 trait, Dark Star, Channeler, which is the Invokers, Vanguard, tank trait. Interesting. Tank with Channeler is gonna cast a lot. Because he's gonna get hit, right? He gets mana from being hit. And Channeler gives him more percent mana. I think. Gain more mana, right? So if you solo frontline him, he's gonna cast a lot. Gain shield each second for the next how many seconds? Gain more shield and deal more damage to adjacent enemies. Shield per proc. What does proc mean? Like when he gets hit. When this ability ends, consume the remaining shield and heal for the how many percent of the value. Okay. Interesting. I assume he's mana locked. I assume it's gonna be mana locked when it's cast. If he's not, he might be a bit strong. There can be like some infinite casting thing, but he has to be mana locked. I think when he has to shoot.
Mana regen. This dude's a beast. Like, he's very powerful. You know, if you see a Mordekaiser 2 on stage 2, be scared. I don't think he's like so strong that you're going to see him on like stage 4 boards, but he does feel like one of the best stage 2 openers just because he gives you that Dark Star and Channeler, both of which are quite valuable. Excuse me. And then with the tank items, the Vanguard will also give you a lot of effective health on your board, so that can be really good. All right, Pantheon. Pantheon.
Well, I just want to say that there are a lot of 3 trait units. I think. I feel like I've seen multiple already so far. Timebreaker, Brawler, Replicator. Okay, Pantheon's gonna cast twice, I guess. Gain shield and durability for how many seconds? Over the duration. Deal true damage per second, physical damage each second to enemies in a cone. Okay, damage tank, I guess.
I'm saying this a lot, and this is just the way the trait structure works this set, but Pantheon also has insanely good traits, right? 2 Brawler, we've talked about that. 2 Timebreaker, right? Like, the common thing is either the Pantheon Milio or the Pantheon Ezreal Fast 8 to take advantage of that Timebreaker. So you're going to see a lot of that, and then also Replicator. So he just has really good traits. You'll see him on a lot of boards. Pyke. Pyke's a weird one. Pyke
Psionic, the item trait, which is good. Voyager, a flexible trait as well, which works well. So traits are strong already. Reposition up to 1 hex to throw a harpoon at the furthest enemy. The harpoon pulls the first enemy hit 1 hex forward and deals damage. Then teleport behind him and cleave. Hey, Pyke sounds fun. Hey, Pyke reroll sounds fun. Okay, depending on how it actually works, depending on what reposition and whatever means, but can he not just... He's basically like Caitlyn, right? A frontline Caitlyn. Like he casts... He repositions and hits the furthest unit with his backline unit if you position correctly. Okay, but then I don't think he can kill. It depends on whether he can one tap them, right, with his cast. Because he pulls them to the 3rd row, I guess. And then he teleports behind them and attacks them. Interesting.
is a very weird champion. Now, again, he's psionic, so you'll see him on a lot of boards, like, just kind of chilling, and Voyager, so good traits. But as far as his spell goes, he's kind of hard to play.
Like
he reminds me a lot of Fizz.
I wouldn't know. I don't play Revival set.
But if he doesn't like kill a key target, he doesn't necessarily do a lot, and he can get targeted and fall off. He doesn't have Rogue built in to keep him safe. So he's a weird one. I expect him to be one of the harder things to play. I wouldn't jump.
If I will theorycraft a beast for Pyke right now, it's probably just gonna be Hodge, i.e. just full burst, right? And then Edge on Night so that he doesn't just die. If it's not Edge on Night, it's probably just another damage item. I feel like maybe full damage might be the way, I don't know. I feel like you want him to get the backline and kill it in one shot. Not sure how many items you need to do that for a 3-star Pyke yet, but yeah.
Right into like a Pyke game in your first game.
Might be QSS.
You're probably gonna have a rough time. But as people figure out builds and figure out spots to play him, it's not that he's like unplayable or anything. He's just gonna be one of the more narrow lines, just because of the way he works. And so he basically what he does is he hooks somebody and then jumps behind them. So if anything, he can be frustrating to face because he will like displace your corner unit and move them up a hex. But then if you invest in him, he ends up like not doing enough damage, much like Fizz used to. And so we'll see. But again, if nothing else, playing him for 2 Psionic is worth it. I commonly will play like Gragas, Bruiser, Psionic with a 2 Channeler, and then Pyke goes in at 5 so that you get the Psionic item and can put that, stuff like that. So, yeah. All right, Zoe.
Zoe, Arbiter, Channeler. Fire a pedal star at the current target, dealing damage to the first target hit and secondary damage to others it passes through. When the missile reaches its destination, redirect it to a distant enemy, increasing its speed and repeating the damage. This redirect can occur how many number of times?
Actually pretty strong. Again, Zoe is one of those champions that if you see, Zoe plus Leona, you're like, sweet, let me check the Arbiter, see if it's an Arbiter that works with her. If it is, consider like a reroll Zoe line. If not, maybe hold the items for like the LeBlanc. But definitely you want to play her around Arbiter. You can also just play her with Channeler if you have like that Mordekaiser as an item holder. But yeah, generally some good AP. The big thing with her is because she's a Channeler, you're not going to want to put like a Shojin's or a Nashor's on her. You're just going to want to go like full AP and let that spell hit. And then she has some of the best backline access to her damage, so she can hit the backline pretty hard. So, all right, on to 3 costs. Aurora.
Anima Voyager. Open a hex brief containing the target, hacking enemies within for how many seconds, and dealing magic damage to each plus magic damage split between all enemies hit. AoE damage, I guess. Hacked enemies store damage they take. When a hack ends, they take true damage equal to the stored damage.
Is a
True
weird
damage
champ because
AoE, I
Anima.
guess.
So if you get an Aurora out of a box, you're like, time to Lost Streak, right? Is one of the 2/3 costs to get Anima going. And then once she stacks up, she can do a lot of damage. From there, you really just have to think of her as like a standard AP user, right? You're going to want the JG, Nashor's, Shojin kind of stuff on her, though her traits don't give her a ton of AP, so actually even like a Death Cap is quite good on Aurora. Aurora will be the kind of champion that like will blow your mind on the damage meters, but won't necessarily win you all the fights, because she will do a bunch of damage and it's split amongst all targets hit. So if she hits like one target, you'll see this like giant 3,000 crit, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. But she only hit one target, right? And then she has this 80 mana cost, so she does need spell, mana generation pretty heavily. Now, if she's itemless, though, the thing to note here is she debuffs the enemies she hits, and then after a while they take damage. So she can actually be a good supportive unit for like a Voyager comp, for example. Play her for that Voyager trait. They take a bunch of damage, and then the true damage pops. So it can actually be a good supportive unit. She's kind of the closest to a supportive unit that we've seen. But again, a 3-star Aurora can definitely pump out the damage. So, okay, Diana. Diana is one of the weird.
Diana, Arbiter Challenger. Attacks deal magic damage. Attacks deal bonus magic damage. Active gain shield and summon 3 encircling orbs. Orbs deal damage to enemies they pass through and rotate faster based on attack speed. So she just summons orbs around her and does damage, I guess. That scales your attack speed as well, but that is a bit weird, I guess.
Champions we've made in a while. She's a melee champion, AP, makes sense. When she casts her spell, she gains a shield, and then 3 orbs start to circle her. Seems fine. The crazy thing is, the higher her attack speed, the faster the orbs go. And you might be thinking, that doesn't sound too crazy. It's more ticks of her spell, and the way it scales is actually pretty insane. In our testing, like the difference between a Diana with and without a Ginsu's is like night and day. So like, if you have a Diana, get some attack speed on her, and she is kind of a beast. And then again, she's like the 3rd Arbiter here. She's one of the Arbiters, by the way, that can do really well with like HP and stuff like that.
Diana
so
beast is going to probably be the same beast as
every 3 attacks gain permanent
Diana,
HP.
Right.
All of a sudden, you can have like a 5,000-6,000 health Diana 3 that is doing a ton of damage as well. So, but yeah, she's a cool one, but definitely needs attack speed. Fizz. Fizz, it's not quite annoying as last set's Fizz, but he's still annoying. He's going to dash around and do some magic damage, and then every 3rd cast, there's going to be this giant meep shark that appears and does a bunch of AoE damage, and it is a lot of AoE damage. So getting to these 3rd casts matters a lot. If you get Fizz early, rogue openers with him are really good, so that the rogue can drop the aggro, gives him some extra AP, and makes those hit really hard. But really, it's about getting to that 3rd cast. And I've had some fights where this guy will hit like 20,000 damage on the meters just because those 3rd casts hurt. They are really, really big. But he has the same problem a lot of melee champions do, which is if he ever gets targeted, he dies very quickly. So.
Dash through current target, dealing magic damage. Every 3rd cast summons a mega meep after delay, briefly knocking target out and dealing. It doesn't sound that good. Current target. So let's say he's attacking a tank. Does he not just dash here through and then dash back out again? Then 3rd cast he goes in and knocks up guys. I don't know, doesn't sound that good.
Okay, Alawi is our first 3-cost tank, and I want to talk about something real quick.
3-cost tank with 3 traits.
What has happened over the course of the development is a lot of our 3-cost tanks are actually like pretty powerful. You could even like borderline debate if some of them are like the correct distance between the 4-cost tanks. But what we found, especially as we've returned to a normal size set, is that having a 3-cost tank be strong has done really good things to the game, so that not everyone's just fighting over all the 4-cost tanks. So if you get a 3-cost tank early, consider them quite strong. And Alawi is no difference. Like, even though she's an Anima unit, and Anima's going to lose, she's also Shepherd, which is good, but she's just really tanky. Like, investing in her, she's hard to kill. She'll drain some health, she'll heal a bunch, she's very tanky. So don't sleep on these tanks. These tanks are actually quite good. I think a lot better than like the three. Like, she's not quite Darius levels right now, but she reminds me of Darius, where it's like, oh, you face a Alawi 2 on 3/2 with items, and you're like, how do I ever kill this thing?
Interesting.
All right, Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is a
Not
rogue,
says
but she's still a
Ilaoi is
backliner.
very strong.
She's an IE, a backline caster kind of thing. But she's kind of like, if you're going to play some rogues, having a backliner that you know will stay alive till the end is usually good. And she can enable 2 Darkstar. So a common thing is like 2 Darkstar, 2 Rogue, play tempo off that and do well. She can do a lot of damage and gets those executes from Darkstar. Otherwise, she's not going to wow you too much, but she can output a lot of damage.
On takedown, gain mana. When fire missiles in whatever hex radius during the current target. Okay, just damage, I guess.
All right, Lulu. Lulu is kind of a complicated champion. Not that complicated, but the thing to note here is she's an AP caster, right? So she's going to want, again, your Shojin, Nashers, JG, Deathcap, all that stuff. She is a replicator, so you're going to want 2 replicator active. But the crazy thing here is that her spell slightly changes based on the Stargazer. Now, you don't even have to have Stargazer active. It's just, what is the Stargazer this game? That will change her spell a little bit. So, for example, if it's the Serpent Stargazer, she will also shred a bunch of flat magic resist with her spell. I forget all of them. I don't know them all off the top of my head. But like, there's one, for example, that will get gold on kills. There's one that will do a little extra AoE damage. And so you can consider
so basically, Lulu's spell changes depending on the Stargazer trait. So Stargazer is basically like Ionia just said, where every single game is different. So Lulu's spell is going to be different depending on what the Stargazer trait is.
It's just like a nice flavor to check with Lulu. But otherwise, she can do generally pretty good. I mean, literally, our final playtest today, I just took second with her with Lulu 3, and it was the Serpent one. That's why I knew that one off the top of my head. Playing her with Replicator with Misfortune, which I'll talk about in a minute. And so, like, there's definitely a lot of cool ways you can play her. But yeah, solid AP carry. Okay, Maokai.
Misfortune.
Maokai is going to be another popular unit. Maokai has a passive that says he gains more health from all sources. So, and he's a brawler, which gets wild. So if you have a Maokai 3 with like 4 or...
Gain more max health from all sources. Okay, that's more tanky. Converge an X shape of vines on the target, dealing magic damage to each enemy hit and stunning them. Doesn't sound very tanky, right? His cast doesn't make him tankier. His cast just does damage and stuns. I guess the passive, he gains more health, that's it.
Brawler in a Warmogs. This guy can hit Cho'Gath levels of HP. You can do some pretty wild stuff with Maokai. Like Maokai out of a box into Cosmic Hex can be pretty insane. Hefty rolls.
But Nova Brother are good
traits. Hefty rolls is in the set. But there are definitely augments that like give health that like pair really well with Maokai. So definitely consider that. And on top of that, he's a Nova unit. His Nova passive is actually one of the weaker ones. As we hit the higher cost Nova units, their passives get weaker. I believe his is heal a unit, or it's either heal a unit or shield somebody. Yeah, we'll look at it when we get to Nova. But it's not one of the better ones. Now his ultimate, his 5 Nova ultimate, is like the safe choice. If you're running 5 Nova, and maybe like you don't have your Kindred itemized yet, and you want to, play around that, his is like the safest, which is it hits the whole board and stuns them, right? You basically get a board-wide stun by playing 5 Nova. So he's a safe choice if you're looking to do that. His spell itself is actually not that impressive. It's really about his passive. So getting him HP, making him this giant health bar that no one can take down. Maokai is very strong.
Basically, he has a Brock spell.
Misfortune.
You get 5 Nova.
Misfortune is weird in that we have to talk about her as if she's 3 different units. And in fact, in our playtest feedback, we would always list her as 3 different units. Because the way she works is she shows up in your shop, it says Gun Goddess, and choose a trait. And when you grab her, she has 3 traits she can play as. Challenger, Channeler, and Replicator. And so basically, whichever one you need, you can make her become that. Her Challenger build, she wants attack speed, right? Which is not shocking. She's like Ginsu's IE. She's always...
That's interesting. Misfortune just has 3 traits. Not 3 traits, like you can choose which trait you want her to be. Mifa, new set, are there still omens? Yes, there still be omens. Children, omens are permanent thing. There's always going to be omens.
She's an AD champion in all of these, by the way. So she's not an AP champion. She's always AD. But you have like your Ginsu's IE. She can be a rapid challenger and enable her with things like Diana. She can be a really good backliner pair with Kindred. So that can work well. Channeler, she's more like an IE Deathblade. You actually, because she's a channeler, you don't really want your Shojins. But she has like a big, like kind of like her ult, but it only hits 2 targets, but it hits them pretty hard. So definitely like that.
Misfortune reroll, like,
and this is where you want your Shojin IE.
It's very flexible,
caster,
right?
and does this like line spell that can hit pretty hard. So
like,
again, the cool twist here is you can build her however you want. She always wants IE just for the spell crit, and then the items change based on which class you got. So cool. All right, and then Ornn. Ornn's gonna be tricky. We'll see balance-wise. This guy's scary.
On combat start, forge a temporary completed item. If 3 items are already equipped, a random completed item becomes radiant for the rest of combat. So On just gets a free item. Is it? Okay, no. Okay, first of all, is the item tailored? Like, is it gonna be like part of? Is it gonna give you a tank item, or is it just completely random? Like, can I get a death blade out of him? Okay, it's not a permanent item. It's just for the combat. I assume it's only on. Like On is just equipping on himself. If not, there's no way on combat start you're gonna get the item to equip, right? But the thing is the radiant item here. So if I 3 items of On, one of my items becomes radiant. Every single combat. That is insane, no? It's basically TG. No, not even that. You basically get a free prismatic ornament. You get a free prismatic ornament just by playing on your tank. And he still has an active skill. What is it? Gain shield for how many seconds? Then breathe fire in a cone, dealing magic damage. After any shield or On expires, On enters the groove. He still has a tank skill. I don't know. That seems really crazy. Like I already want to try like On reroll, right? Because if you get a 3-star On, surely that's strong and beefy. And then he just gets a free prismatic item on himself, prismatic tank item. If I build good tank item on him, like prismatic spirit lizards, prismatic gargoyle, stoneblade, prismatic warmogs, it's gonna go crazy.
Ornn's passive is at the start of combat, he gets a temporary item, and it's a random tank item. So, for example, you could throw in an Ornn on 2-1, first combat starts, and bam, he has a Warmogs. Okay, or a Bramble, or a Gargoyle, whatever. If you have 2 items on him, like let's say you already have a Warmogs and a Bramble, he'll make a 3rd item. Okay, cool. If you have 3 items on this guy, so let's say you have Warmogs, Bramble, Dragonclaw, at the start of combat, one of them becomes Radiant. So, you could find, for example, on 3-2, you're facing an Ornn with Radiant, Warmogs, Bramble, Dragonclaw, and it's like, whoa. Now, because of that, much like Maokai, his spell doesn't actually do that much. His spell's pretty weak. But the fact that you can generate an item and he's Bastion, you'll see this guy on a lot of boards just for that reason, right? It's like, you have an Aatrox 2, you find an Ornn, throw it on the board for 2 Bastion, and that Ornn makes a Warmogs. You're like, okay, works for me.
Radiant Refractor, that
so
Ornn
this
is
scary. And then, if you have an Ornn 3 who's getting a free Radiant item, like, we've actually had to tune down Radiant, like Dragonclaw and Bramble and stuff like that, just because of this guy. So he has a very high cap.
Just tune him down there. What the fuck you mean? So because On exists, you had to nerf Radiant, Brambles, and Dragonclaw? Bro, that's nerf On! What the fuck?
Now, like I said, I don't think he's necessarily, like, OP, but because of the way items work, especially stage 2 and 3, if you have an Ornn 2, he can be really tough to take down. So, definitely watch out for Ornn. And again, like I said, 3-cost tanks are
like, that feels like a 5-cost level passive, right?
Here, which is Rost.
That feels like a passive that's gonna be on a 5-cost unit.
So Rost is just he's a 3-cost tank. That's what...
Rust. Redeemer. Okay, basically, Rust is one of the Targon traits, right? The flexible tanks, I guess. Gain durability for how many seconds, healing, whatever, over the duration. Afterwards, slash forward in the line, dealing damage to enemies and knocking them up. A lot of stun I'm seeing here. A lot of units are stun. Like we're still on the low cost units, right? A lot of them are stun.
What he does, pretty standard spell. He knocks people up. You know, no big deal. Heals. His trait though is called Redeemer. This trait is interesting, and it's actually one of the reasons why whenever I get a Rost out of a box, I actually personally sell him. I actually think he's a terrible opener. His trait says, for every non-unique trait you have active, your team gains armor, MR, and attack speed. So basically, for those of you that remember the augment built
trait,
different,
right?
Where it's like try to have as many small traits active as you can, it's built different for your team. So, you know, late game, this can get as high as like 20 armor and MR and attack speed for your team, which can be really good.
Wrong, then.
But the problem is, if you get him on stage 2, you have like 1 trait active. And this also scales with his star level, by the way. It's like 3, 4, 5% per trait. So a Rost on the opener is like, yay, 3 armor and MR, who cares?
No, it's pretty sure
I find this guy, like, especially this set with the way the traits I told you they're all very
Brom
valuable.
new set,
like 2 Brawler, 2 Bastion, 2 Channeler, 3 whatever, you know, a couple Voyager, 3 Shepherd, 4 Voyager, whatever. And then, like, you hit 9 and you throw in a Rost, and it's like a lot of power just being added onto your team. So I find him to be like one of the 3 costs you want to put in on 8 or 9 to get full advantage of that Redeemer if you're playing this kind of comp. So pretty cool there. I expect to see a lot of comps cooked up with him, but his passive, again, like team-wide 20 armor, MR, and attack speed for your team, pretty good. And he's not a weak
Raz
unit,
is a
by the way.
budget
Like, he's
bomb.
actually also a solid tank, especially because he's kind of a threat, so he has pretty good
Bro,
base
what's
stats.
it?
So,
Bro, this
all right,
set, I don't
Samira.
I don't see
Samira's
what
a
you mean.
weird one going to PB.
Samira, whenever an enemy is knocked up, shoot them dealing damage and entering the groove. Active, unleash a volley of bullets at a target, dealing damage and knocking them up. Interesting.
I know you're looking at this and thinking, okay, play her in vertical space groove. And that could make sense, but the weird thing about her is she has a passive. And some of you have remembered we've done passives like this before, but basically where anytime an enemy is knocked up, Samira will shoot them, no matter what she's doing. So there's actually like double trouble boards where you could play like 2 Rosts for the knockups. I believe Ornn has a knockup, and then like 2 Samiras in the back, and they can all just like, there's a knockup build out there that's possible.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, she's an interesting
Knockout
one.
build.
She's also just a standard AP caster. You're gonna want your like your Shojin IE kind of thing. A lot of the spells there.
On 3
But also
reroll,
you just go full
definitely
AD,
gonna try.
right? You
Definitely
ignore
gonna
the
try.
Shojin and just go like IE Deathblade Giant Slayer, so that passive gets as big of a hit as you can each time you do a knockup. So pretty interesting to see. Samira's one that, again, I don't recommend you play day 1 of PBE, but as you cook up builds where Samira does well, she'll actually have some really neat stuff. All right, Urgot. Urgot is the first of the mechs that we should talk about. And if you've seen some of the trailers, you probably know already, but mechs are weird in that mechs are either the champion, or you turn them on mech version, and now they are a Colossus-like champion. They take up 2 slots, they're extra powerful, and they count as 2 mecha. So Urgot, for example, can just be normal Urgot, or you can turn him into this like siege tank, and now he has a bunch of extra health, a bunch of extra damage, attacks slower, and counts as 2 mecha. So it's pretty cool. I like mecha a lot. I'll be playing it a lot in my games. Urgot is weird though in that he...
Wait, for those who don't know, mecha is basically a trait. I think you can make your mecha unit into a transform into like a machine, a giga mecha, like basically you upgrade your unit, but it takes 2 slots, and it does different shit. So basically, I think Urgot takes 1 slot, but if you want to transform him into mecha, it takes 2 slots up.
He's very feast or famine. If he gets stuck on a tank, this dude will do very little. But if he can like get past them or has some big crits or repositions with his dash, this dude will melt backlines. I have seen Urgots do 10,000 damage on like 3-1 just because they like moved around and got to the backline. This guy has a very high cap. The other recommended guide I'll tell you, by the way, for mechs is if you have 3 items for them, turn them into mechs. If you're gonna play them itemless for their traits, don't. Like that's the simplest way to think about mech. So throwing in an Urgot just for like
right,
the
Urgot does have 3 traits
totally
as well.
viable. But if you do that, I don't recommend turning him into the tank. If you've got 3 items on your Urgot, please turn him into the mech. And I'll talk about it when we get to the trait. But yeah, that's Urgot. And finally, Victor.
Victor, Psionic, and Channeler. Very, very flexible traits here. Channel a 1 hex Psionic Storm that follows enemies for how many seconds. Each second it grows larger and deals more magic damage to enemies within, reduced by whatever per hex from epicenter.
There's a weird champion. His spell does a lot of damage, but it's very front to back. I find him to be a very good opener, specifically for Psionic. He can actually melt tanks before they really come online, but I find late game he's just too slow. So my recommendation here is, again, Victor out of a box, by all means play him.
Yeah,
Victor
also got item holder.
I don't think it's quite there
and
yet.
a trait
so,
bot.
The other thing, again, because he's a channeler, don't necessarily
Channeler
build
is basically
things like
Invoker.
Shojin. Really just go for, like,
So,
does he have the
a good
Psionic
trait
item?
bot.
Mono regen is actually really good. Blue buff is actually really good on channelers. I should have said that earlier. But yeah, so he can do a lot of damage though. JG Deathcap Blue buff, totally viable build. So okay, 4 costs. I only have like an hour and a half left. So I gotta get through this in an hour and a half. Okay, Aurelian Soul. This is an interesting one in that he can operate as both. If you have like 1 leftover item for AP, he sits on the back line, he shoots a beam, does some damage as a standard unit.
Channel a death beam in a line towards the current target for how many seconds? It deals magic damage per second, reduced by however damage per enemy it passes through. Death beam ignores a certain amount that magic resists. So kind of like Lux. But it's like Lux but a bit more constant. Yeah, it's basically Lux. This set's Lux. Right, because it passes through multiple enemies and damage is reduced for each T-Hex. Yeah, Jahan. I was trying to think of which one was the one that was like more like that. It's basically T-Hex, yeah, it's basically T-Hex, right? T-Hex, Mage T-Hex, Magic T-Hex. Without the rockets and shit, but it's just the laser that persists for a period of time and can hit the backline. I don't think he's gonna be killing the backline like T-Hex does. Hopefully not. Like not as easily lah. Like just like Lux, hopefully it takes like a few shots, maybe 2 or 3 casts if your positioning is damn shit. Yeah, but it's basically like T-Hex.
Can help Chandler totally fine. If you make him the mech, though, he becomes that starship that flies around and does damage. And it's interesting because what I found with Aurelion Sol is that he's very strong early. If you get him early,
Oh,
you
right.
can win streak like
Yeah,
stage 3
if
and
you
half of
turn
stage 4
him
with
into
this
the
guy.
mech, right? So
But
basically
late
it means
game,
that you
because his damage is so
turn
spread
him into
out,
the one that takes up
he
2
tends
slots.
to struggle a little
He
bit.
becomes
You
a
end up
kind
needing
of
like a
like
secondary
flying
carry to
ship
really
that
help
shoots
him.
rockets.
But that being said, pretty standard AP items here. You really just want to go like full damage, which is true of both forms. So just so that those ships are doing as much damage as possible. Deathcap JG, stuff like that. So cool. All right, Corky. Corky's one.
Corky, strafe to a nearby position, unleashing missiles, split between target and all enemies. Okay, basic Corky hit, right? I mean Corky spell. Missiles deal damage, chance of firing more missiles. Meat bonus, every few seconds launch an explosive meat at a target. So more damage basically. Yeah,
Your
seems
4
like a
cost
pretty
caster
basic
backliners. Again, the weird thing here is because he's Fate Weaver,
basic
he doesn't need IE.
AD caster.
So Corky really benefits from like Stride Breaker plus Deathblade, plus like a Giant Slayer or even something like a
I
Quicksilver.
could see a world where you play Corky
so
Flex with
that's
just
pretty
Fate
cool.
Weaver.
Otherwise, again, play him with Meeple, right? You're going to want to play him with
Fate Weaver, Meeple,
4 Meeple, or
Flex
sorry,
around
5
that.
Meeple or 7 Meeple. But yeah. Okay, the Mighty Mech. Same thing, this is our last mech. This is the primary tank of the mech comp and a really good 4-cost tank because again, he can be a Colossus unit. So imagine you got your like Warmog's Bramble Dragonclaw
Enter
on a
defensive stance for however seconds, gaining durability. While in the defensive stance, attract nearby enemy projectiles like Brom and heal over duration. When this ends, release a shock wave that deals damage.
unit that has baseline like 2,000 health.
Yeah, I think it's basically Brom's
so he can
set,
be
right?
one of the better tanks.
He gains
The weird
durability
thing
on his
about
cast
him,
and
though,
then
is that he's a
attracts
Voyager unit, and
projectiles.
your instinct's going to be like, oh, I'll play him in Voyager. But actually, he doesn't benefit from Voyager that much. Voyager's frontline is a flat shield health, and so because he's got like 3,000-4,000 health, an extra 200, 300 shield, who cares, right? But that being said, playing him in mech, like with 4 mech, can do some pretty cool things. I also think he's going to be one of the better emblem holders. If you have like a Bruiser emblem on this guy to pair with Urgot, I think that will be insane. But just be aware that like don't be baited into thinking that like I should play him in Vertical Voyager. You can by any means. I just don't think it's as amazing. And in fact, if you're playing Vertical Voyager, I find it better to like actually have him just be the itemless version, so you can have an extra slot. But yeah, otherwise he's an interesting tank, does some big damage, and again he is one of the more impressive 4-cost tanks. You can flex around. Like remember I was talking about how Rost works really well, right? Like play him with 3 mech active, 2 Voyager active, and then get Rost in with a bunch of other traits, and actually he can be pretty insane. So something to consider.
Karma, Dark Star Voyager, good traits again. A lot of splashable traits this set actually. Right? Because a lot of the traits that are splashable are only need 2 units to activate. It's not like what? It's not like some other traits that need 3, right? This one just needs 2. And all of the traits always give like AoE buff to your whole team, so a lot of splashable traits this set. Gather the force of a black hole, dealing however damage split between the target and the closest enemies to them. The target takes an additional magic damage. AoE damage. Yeah, basically AoE damage.
Your pretty standard big boom 50 monocaster. Big boom and 50, not quite there. But basically the idea here is, JG, Nashers, get some big crits, shoots 3 targets, big damage. Pretty standard AP caster.
Yep.
And the fact that she's Dark Star and Voyager has some good traits as well. But big damage. We find that like playing like a Karma plus LeBlanc or a Karma plus Nami builds can be really good as like double carries. So those are pretty solid. Kindred. Kindred is going to be...
Kindred. Nova Challenger. Attack speed. Challenger's attack speed. Passive. Attacks and abilities mark the target. When an enemy reaches max marks, Wolf consumes the marks, dealing damage. Well, basically just attacking the same target will deal more damage. Jump up to how many? Jump a hex away and fire arrows at the nearest target, each dealing physical damage. So it's like a pretty basic
your backline Ginsu's user carry. At 4 cost. Pretty standard. Shoot, yeah, lots of shoots. Does some damage. Nothing too crazy here. Her Nova passive is one of the weaker ones, which is just, I believe it's heal a champion. So nothing crazy there. But her Nova effect, so this is where, again, if you're playing 5 Nova and you have a Kindred with 3 items, Kindred is probably going to be your common 5 Nova pick. And basically what it does is every time it procs, it'll put one of her marks on people. And it can proc multiple times. Hers is the only one that can proc multiple times. And so it's just going to help her mow things down quicker as you hit those 3 marks to get Wolf to come out and bite. Yeah, it just basically, she's a good carry, and if you have 5 Nova, it makes her an even better carry. Kind of like how traits do. So, finally, LeBlanc. LeBlanc is a weird one. LeBlanc is our Ginsu's AP user, actually.
Ginsu's AP user, your Kaisa. Arbiter Shepherd. Passive. Attacks deal magic damage instead. Active. Summon clones that attack alongside LeBlanc for 100 attacks, dealing damage. For their final attack, clones fire a bolt that deals magic damage. Interesting. Kind of like Azir, right? Sounds like Azir, where you summon like soldiers to attack with you.
Basically, she stands on the back line, gets 40 mana, 5 clones appear, they all shoot some shots, and then she reverts, repeat. Where LeBlanc shines is there are a bunch of Arbiter effects that are like every 3 attacks or every 10 instances of damage. And because again, as I said, Arbiter can be over budget, you know, if you get something like every 10 instances of damage, gain 10 AP, all of a sudden you have this like 2 or 3 piece trait that's gaining you like 100 AP over the course of a fight, LeBlanc can really output some damage. So I find LeBlanc to be the kind of carry that you play if the Arbiter syncs up really well with her. If it doesn't, then I typically try to avoid LeBlanc, but definitely has some pretty high caps with Arbiter there. All right, Master Yi. Master Yi is our
Master Yi, Psionic Marauder, Fighter. Every third attack strikes additional time for more damage. Active. After brief meditation, enter a Psi state for some seconds, gaining Omnivamp attack speed and increased movement speed. Twice a second, fire a psychic projection at a nearby enemy that deals damage. Okay. So he basically buffs himself for a while, I guess.
our
And goes
AD
insane
damage
style,
dealer. If you get him
goes
early,
insane
very
mode.
good. Again, Psionic, there's some good Psionic items with him. Marauder. But otherwise, you know, reminds me a lot of like Belveth a little bit. Actually, that's not true. Closer maybe even to like... Actually, I don't know if there's a good comparison last set. But TLDR here is basically he wants to attack fast, and he's a melee champion. So even something like Edge of Night Ginsu's plus some damage can be really good here. Every time he oh, I guess Warwick, actually. Warwick might be the best comparison. He kind of reminds me a little bit of that like Warwick kind of strength. And so he will do a lot. He will heal a lot with Marauder. Can be tough to take down. So... Nami, I feel like is like the easiest 4-cost AP to use. She, you know, all you really need to get her operated is 2 Replicator. She doesn't have to be played in Space Groove.
Yeah,
4
Nami's
Replicator's
just a
obviously good as
standard
well, but like
AP
you know, if
carry,
we're playing
I
an
guess.
AP opener early
She
and then
throws a
transition
bubble
into a
that
Nami
does
on 4-2,
damage.
you should be doing all right. Nami's kind of been like our baseline 4-cost, so I expect her to be pretty easy to play and do pretty well.
Yep.
Nunu is the 4-cost CC tank of the set. This dude will be played in a lot of comps.
4-cost CC tank. He's our Swain. Gain shield for shield duration. Okay, at least 2 traits only, so it's not like Swain level. Summon an Astrolab to crash down on the most enemies between 2 hexes, dealing magic damage. Then Nunu pushes the Astrolab towards the end of the board, dealing magic damage. All enemies hit by Astrolab are knocked up. So technically Samira can use that.
He can enable 3 Stargazer,
just stun
but basically
right?
he drops a snowball where he is, stunning everybody, and then he pushes the snowball, which can go towards backline, and stun them. So with the right stuns, this guy can hit like 6 out of 8 units. He won't hit both backline corners, but you know, if you thought Swain was popular, Nunu's the same. Now, Nunu doesn't have as good a traits as Swain, so I don't think we'll see, you know, the 4.3 levels of usage that we saw Swain see. But I will say, as somebody who plays the set a lot, I've put this guy on my board a lot. This guy's very good. Even with just 2 Vanguard, like, you're playing this guy, so... Rammus. Rammus is probably the strongest, just like baseline tank of the 4-cost, other than, you know, the mighty mech with mech enabled. Rammus is really tanky. That's mostly what he does, is just be a tank.
Yeah,
but if you have Meeple in, he gets to be even tankier. So pretty standard 4-cost tank. Nothing really much to say other than the dude's a tank, right? Kind of like Braum in that regard, where he's very tanky. Okay, Riven.
Looks fun. Timebreaker Rogue. So basically, he has built-in Edge of Night. This ability adapts to Riven's attack damage or ability power, whichever is higher. So if her AP is higher or AD is higher, she gets different abilities. Interesting. Hello, I don't know, that's Chinese, bro. C, Mr. C. Thanks for the follow. Active, dash to a nearby hex, gaining shield for how many seconds and slashing adjacent enemies for damage. Each third cast, leap into the air and launch a wave of energy that deals magic damage or physical damage. Oh, okay, no, I think it's just her ability doesn't change. Her ability doesn't change. It's just whether the ability scales with magic or physical damage.
Riven is really interesting. If you liked Riven from set 4, this will remind you of that, but I think actually a lot better. Now, she has a Timebreaker, but you're probably not playing her in Timebreaker that much, unless you have like a reroll Milio and you want to cap that out with Timebreaker. But she herself is not going to be played in like a 4 Timebreaker comp. If anything, if you happen to still have like the Pantheon and the Riven, then you're going to be able to like, okay, cool, I can get like a couple rerolls or XP as I'm going, but it's also stage 4, so it's not that big a deal. The bigger story is that Rogue, like, she'll definitely want like 2 Rogue active, if not more. Rogue's giving her that ED or AP, so she's going to be able to do some damage. But this is where Riven, I think, is really powerful. Her passive is that basically whichever one is higher, AD or AP, she will do that type of damage. So if you have a bunch of AD items, great, you have an AP rogue or AD rogue that's doing whatever. If you have AP items, she's an AP damage dealer. So she can use almost any type of item. She is, in my opinion, the best secondary carry in the game. And all you really need to make her valuable is 2 rogue. And 2 rogue is nice for the aggro drop. That's it.
I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna change a lot. Because it's not like she gets a different skill, right? Another Kaisa, hey, hello, Net. Not really. No. Because Kaisa completely changes her ability. Like, she just is a completely different identity, right? If it's AP, she becomes an attack speed. But if she's AD, she becomes just an attack caster. Riven stays the same. It's just whether her skill does magic or physical damage. If I'm correct. Like, her ability is the same. It's just whether she scales with magic or physical. Depends on which one is higher. Plus, in the first place, like, fighters, most of the time, you're just gonna build, like, you probably just want to build Bloodthirsters and Titans on her, right? It's like, it's not exactly like you're gonna build a specific comp. Yeah, you just slam whatever you want, lah, but it's like, it doesn't feel very impactful, lah. It's like, if I want to play Riven, exactly Riven, if I build Beast for Riven, it's probably gonna be Titans or something. It's like, I don't know what kind of AP you're gonna build, right? Like, doesn't look like she's gonna use the Hodge Jewel Gauntlet build, right? Or Hodge IE. So I guess the thing is, like, late game, she's a good Tease Gloves user, or you can just put, like, if late game your carousel just gets random shit, you can just throw it on her, but it doesn't seem that impactful of a passive.
I love this champion. I think she'll be played on a lot of boards, but she's quite powerful. And even like the 5 rogue Riven can like really output the damage. So Riven's pretty cool, and yeah. All right. Now, normally the 4-cost CC tank is the most popular tank in the game. Tahm Kench is going to be able, I think, to beat that. Tahm Kench is just a brawler. Like, you have to ignore Oracle for a second. He's just a brawler. He has a decent passive, which makes him tanky. He's not quite as tanky as Rammus, but he is very tanky. He's a 4-cost tank. And so the fact that he activates 2 brawler, obviously good. Oracle, though, is where the value comes in. Tahm Kench is the kind of champion that if you high roll on 2-5, you're going to be coasting. This because Oracle is an engine, and what it basically says is every 3 turns, gain something. Gain something you need. And so what he'll do is he'll give you, like, a 4-cost of a champion you didn't need, or some extra gold, or items, and, like, he will generate a lot of resources, and so it is very, very common to just be like, okay, it's late game, throw in a Tahm Kench for 2 brawler and free resources. Sweet. Or, hey, I happen to hit 2-star Tahm Kench. You can play him in any comp because all I really need is 2 brawler active. So I think you're going to see a lot of this guy.
I don't know, man. Like, at least on, right? At least the on was a 5 core, so it's harder to get. Plus, on doesn't have any tank traits. Not tank traits. He doesn't gain tank stats when he casts, right? This guy heals. This guy This guy has a Taric-like ability when dropping below a certain health gains his shield, and his cast heals him. Like, he's a good tank. And he gives you resources when you keep him on his field. When you keep him on the field, nah, I don't know, man.
Any comp because all I really need is 2 brawler active. So she's a little more narrow than some of the other champions we've talked about. But that being said, if you have like 3 Stargazer, 2 Sniper active, and she also likes Ginsu's, by the way.
Zaya attacks bounce to nearby enemies, dealing damage reduced per target hit, and leaving a feather behind the final target. Interesting. So I don't know if you could get to the back line with that, but she does hit multiple targets, which is always good. Active, gain attack speed for how many seconds? At the end, recall all feathers split between the closest. Okay. So a passive basically bounce attacks. Feather last target hit gets a feather dropped. So basically each one attack is 1 feather, then when she casts, all the feathers come back and do damage. So just AoE marksman, I guess.
Or I think I already said that. But she does have a very high cap. Like, going to PvE, unless
and she does have sniper,
like,
which is long shot.
Like,
so if she manages to snipe,
so she can really output
hit like the further
she pairs
targets
really
behind,
well
she
next
does
to Jin.
do
So it's like
more damage.
You put her and Jin in the same comp, and it's just like off you go with like 2 Darkstar, 2 Sniper, 3 Stargazer, and she can do a lot. I expect to see her as like, she reminds me a little bit of Yunara, pretty different spell, but really, really high cap and pretty dang strong. So, yeah. Cool. All right, then we have our 5 costs. Now, one thing to note before I start talking about the 5 costs is all the other champion number counts, by the way, are like the standards of what you would see in like set 14 or 15, right? Like 14 1 costs, 13 2 costs. The only thing different is that you'll notice there are 10 5 costs instead of the usual 8. Now, it's actually only +1. It's actually only 9. Zed, which we'll talk about in a second, is only available through an augment, but this does mean this set has more 5 costs than usual. So something to keep in mind is that Zed is, so we have more 5 costs, so it'll be a little harder to 2-star them. Only a little. So, Okay, gonna try to power through this. Bard. Bard has a couple things going on here that are important. The first one is that he is in Meeple, but he doesn't actually scale with Meeple that well, so don't feel like you need 7 Meeple to play Bard. Bard is actually just really good by himself with 2 Channeler. Okay, so in the past we've had this problem where you can only play these 5 costs if you have their trait active. That's not Bard. Bard is very good outside of Meeple. He does a ton of damage and does not actually scale that well with Meeple, okay? But the weird thing is he's actually very good in Meeple for other Meeples, because what he does is he grants the nearest, I think it's like 2 or 3, I think it's 2, other Meeples +1 Meep, which is their trait. So essentially it's like if you're playing 5 Meeple, having a Bard next to your Corki means the Corki is now like 7 Meeple. Or if you're playing 7 Meeple, it's closer to like higher than 7 Meeple. So he powers up other Meeples. So that's what makes him good in vertical Meeple, but not himself. And so if you're playing him as the carry, play him outside of Meeple. Okay. Now all of that to say is, what is his spell? His spell is a ton of damage. He's like a big AP. I think he's like the better version.
Oh,
of
I
Victor.
remember I saw his spell.
He does a ton of damage front to back, and he can like melt tanks. So you want a lot of AP on this guy, right? Like Death Cap, JG. Blue buff is good for the mono regeneration. But what's cool is if he kills people, there's a chance that he abducts them and makes copies on your bench. And so he can also generate some resources. So does some cool stuff here.
Like,
and then if you haven't seen it, he can actually use this ability on the Elder Dragons on 5, 7, and 6,
Although
7.
it does say here
and get copies of Elder Dragons. So
we do not know the chance
pretty
yet.
neat. Okay, Blitzcrank.
You can
Blitzcrank's
steal
a
the
weird
dragons.
one.
You can steal the dragon. How would that work? Like the dragon is in your bench, then what happens? Like you can place it down for the fight. You can sell the dragon for money. How does that even work?
Here, by the way, is Blitzcrank not a tank. Do not put tank items on this guy. In fact, if you've been
free
playing
for
the last
one
set,
unit.
the
But the dragon costs 1 slot in my team. How strong is the dragon? How strong is the dragon that I want to fill that over an actual unit?
closer person to compare him to is Set. You want like
currently over
JG, Death Cap plus
Bart of the dragon. Bart of the dragon.
BT or something like that. Maybe not even BT, because his passive works a lot like Set. The way it works is he has a health bar, and then with that health bar goes to 0, he's gonna like disengage.
Wait. Is the dragon permanent? Like, is it permanent? Like you can keep it forever on your board?
Now, unlike
yes, can you put items on the dragon? Can you itemize the dragon? I don't think so, right? No items. Ah, I see. Damn, hey, the dragons. Okay, no, but there is a chance, right? So it's just up to luck whether you abduct the dragon or not. I see. Hey, hello, Rich. You hit masters. Hey, congrats, bro. Congrats.
He doesn't run away. He just disengages right where he is, and that can cause some weird pathing things that will frustrate you. But then he
that does sound funny. Hopefully that happens.
And then he comes back, and he's back again, but now with
wait. Is there like scatter paddle, right? Can I abduct the crab? Okay, no, but the crab. Okay, never mind. The crab doesn't do anything, right? The crab doesn't do damage. I guess that would be kind of dumb. Crab though. If they have crab rave,
even more damage. This dude can crank out a lot of damage, so don't make the mistake of trying to play him like a tank. He's closer to Set. Okay, AP items.
Yeah, basically Blitzcrank is just Set, right? You want him to die, and then he heals back and goes insane.
Good. 2 health bars. Doesn't really need Space Groove. Doesn't really need Vanguard. This dude's just a beast. So, Fiora.
No more
Fiora
encounter,
is a lot like the powered up version of Master Yi in the set.
Okay,
you want AD items on him. Does a lot of AD. The Divine
right,
Jewels here
is
going to do a bunch of damage. And the other thing is it's going to allow you to heal back up, which is pretty solid. So that is a good thing. But otherwise, Fiora is a good way to cap out, your AD.
Fiora. Every few attacks, review a vital on a target. If a vital exists, dash to it and deal extra damage, bonus true damage, and heal for amount of damage dealt. Active, review vitals on a target and quickly attack them all. If the target dies, remaining vital transfers to the nearest enemy. Upon striking the final vital, create a 2-hex aura that heals allies. Okay, so basically just a strong fighter that can do true damage and gives a support effect of healing if you kill something. Not kill something, actually every single cast. You just strike the final vital. Don't know how many vitals yet though. That will depend on that will change how good a skill is, because they don't say how many vitals, but that's
D-line if you hit her.
That sounds like a good 2-cost, 5-cost to cap out.
Early. She also has that thing where if she ever gets down to a 1-on-1 with any other unit, she will instantly win the fight. So that's pretty cool. So she could be good at, like, for example, beating a big Cho'Gath that you're having trouble killing. But yeah. Okay, now this is where I wish I had a big slide ready to go, because I wish I could talk about this longer. Graves is going
Alright, Graves is basically like Rumble from the Arcane set, from the Anomaly set. Like, if you keep, the longer you keep it in, the more upgrades you can buy for him, kind of like Rumble.
to melt your brain. And I wish I had more info ready for you to go here. Maybe I'll try to make a separate post on Twitter later. Hopefully other sites also help me with this. I was joking with Froden that TFT Academy is going to love this guy. Graves is probably the most complicated champion we've ever made because you essentially have a giant talent tree built into a champion. The way it works is you're going to play him, and every turn you play him,
Skill tree
get,
on the
four
unit
choices.
is crazy.
And this will dictate, is he ranged or melee? And then if based on that, is he going to do extra damage from afar, or shred armor, or double attacks, or whatever? And you could like fully customize your Graves. And each time you make a choice, there will be a
Build
couple
your own
turns where like it'll
Graves.
start delaying a little bit. But the point is, like, if you ever see a Graves 2 with like 6 or 7 upgrades, be scared. Some people were comparing.
Did he do that on purpose or on accident?
The point is, like, if you ever see a Graves 2 with like 6 or 7 upgrades,
Wait,
couple turns where like it'll start delaying a little bit. But the point is, like, if you ever see a Graves 2 with like 6 or 7 upgrades,
that is a specific two numbers that he used.
be scared. Some people were comparing him to Rumble in set 13, and I think that's an okay comparison, except that like it is impossible to get all of Graves upgrades because some of them also have like they can upgrade themselves, right? Where it's like shotgun and then shotgun plus and shotgun plus plus. So this guy is going to take a while to learn.
Infinite scaling,
but the TLDR
yeah,
here, if you're
yeah.
looking for the short version, is he can be backline with like Ginsu's, or he can be frontline with like Titans and stuff like that. And then from there, pick the utility and extra power you want on him to make him into the carry you need him to be. So Graves will have a lot of learning going on. I expect this guy to melt some brains for a while.
If you game early, it's basically ASO. No, very different. ASO needs to do damage to scale. This guy just scales off being on the board. He scales off existing. All he needs to do is exist and he gets scaling.
All right, Jin. Jin, 2 Darkstar, again, very valuable.
That's a
Eradicator
lot of
is
words
going to
for
lower the
Jin.
enemy's armor and MR by 14%, so he's good to just throw in anyway. And then if you have items for him, this guy just pumps out a lot of damage. This guy loves IE. His spell is where most...
Jin has a fixed attack speed and converts every extra attack speed to bonus. No. Into bonus attack damage. Yeah, normal Jin. Summon spectral hands that fire alongside Jin for the next number of attacks. Each hand deals extra damage per shot and removes armor. The final shot deals more damage and pierces through the most enemies in line, dealing reduced. Okay.
of his damages. After
My
that,
Maestro
you can put whatever
Jin.
items you want on him, but this guy just does a lot of front-to-back damage. He melts tanks. He's a very powerful carry.
Lux.
Once you 2-star him, move your Xayah items over to Jin, or just play around Jin himself if you get him early. But Jin does a lot of damage. All right, Morgana.
Not sure what that means.
Morgana is basically, so Dark Lady gives an aura where it's like, I think it's damage amp and damage reduction based on which form she's in. So it's just a nice passive aura. And then to think
Morgana
of her as
like Lucian Senna.
she's a 2-range unit, so you don't want her in the front line. You want her in the second row. And much like Blitzcrank, you want AP.
Oh, luxury subscription. I see. Yeah. Oh, that would be quite crazy. Actually,
heals her and makes her shield bigger. So you want lots of AP on Morgana.
Free carry,
but,
just a free carry on the box.
A good example might be like Deathcap JGBT. Would be a totally viable build on Morgana. I'm sure we'll find better builds later. But
transform into dark form for duration seconds, gaining shield for duration. While in dark form, Teeter the nearest enemies dealing magic damage per second, each one healing for damage and a transformation deal. Okay, so when she casts, she like sucks off the nearest enemies, sucks them off, heals from that, and then does damage at the final. So yeah,
she is another one of those champions that you can just kind of throw into any comp for the aura, and if you have the AP items, good stuff.
Plus she gets like Senna Lucian kind of aura, transform on whether she transforms or not, I think.
Shen, again, not a tank. Just like Blitzcrank, it says
Bastion. Not a tank. Bastion, but not a
He's
tank.
actually a Ginsu's user. You want him to do a bunch of attack speed.
On cast, attacks gain stacking bonus magic damage. Starting from the third cast, gain true damage instead. Interesting. Gain shield, then slice open a rift on the largest group of champions, dealing the passive's bonus damage to all enemies within. Enemies have their attack speed slowed, while allies gain bonus attack speed. Both rapidly decaying. Oh, that sounds interesting. So not only does he have a stacking damage from attacks, he has a debuff and buff effect for the enemy team and my own team.
And what it is basically his passive is some bonus damage, and then after the third cast, so that's why you want to get to that third cast quick, it starts doing bonus true damage. And so, get to that point, you can start to melt people. And the other thing is his spell provides a very large slow. Shen is like kind of the counter to Master Yi and Fiora, because his slow, I believe, is 40%. It's like a 40% slow. So getting that out there can be good. And then in addition, he also has this cool sword that you can place that gives people inside of it a bonus shield at the start of combat and some bonus attack speed. So I find Shen to be the kind of champion, even without items. He activates 2 Bastion, and you get the sword for the backline attack speed, so just a lot of utility.
Yep, Shen is definitely one of the top champions to
Sona.
play like
Sona
some
is,
fast
in my
line,
opinion, the
5-cost
premier
soup.
5-cost. You play her often for Shepherd, you play her often for 2 Psionic. Again, we talked about how like you play like a Gragas, Tahm Kench for Brawler, and
Sona, hurl a chunk of magnetic debris at the nearest target without one, dealing magic damage and sticking to them. If an enemy with debris dies, it passes near enemies every. Ooh. Rip off all debris, dealing magic damage, and crush all debris on the target, dealing mirror damage. At first, I thought she was gonna be a dot mage, right? Like Malzahar kind of thing, where like she throws something there and then she throws to someone else who doesn't have it. But it seems like a burst kind of situation where she throws, then she casts and everything converges on the one target.
then with the Gragas, you have the Sona for Psionic, and you're getting that extra item. And then all of that to say is like she's an AP caster, so you want the like JG, Death Cap, all that stuff. But she also has Commander. And what Commander does is you'll get this command that's essentially like a mod for a champion, and it will last 2 turns and can do some pretty cool stuff. So one example of a mod is at the start of combat, gain a recommended item. Okay, cool. You can put that on somebody and be up an item. Another example is every 2 seconds you're alive, gain XP. And it's like, okay, cool. I put this on a backliner and I'm gaining like 10, 12 XP a turn. Great. Or your spells and auto attacks now chill, stun,
fun.
and burn and stuff like that. It's like there's a bunch of cool commands, and so having those commands on top of Sona, on top of Psionic, ends up making her very valuable. I put Sona on like every board I can personally.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Vex is a weird one. Vex is a Ginsu's user. She's going to want to do a lot of attacks really, really quick. She ramps up. But what's really interesting about Vex is Doomer. Doomer says the first time I hit an enemy, steal a percentage of their AD and AP. Not lower, steal. So you could have a champion who has like a baseline 50 AD, you can knock that down to 30, and Vex is stealing that in AP. And so as Vex hits more and more of the team, her AP will build up. So she not only raises her own damage, but lowers theirs, and can do that. So even just throwing her in just to proc the Doomer on people can be really good.
Okay, is it just me or are they really... There is a lot of frontline threats towards fighters. I feel like I've seen so many units that they can chill the frontline, they can stun the frontline. You have units like Shen who can slow the frontline so they can't even attack fast. You have Vex who can just steal stats from target she hits, which is probably going to the frontline. I feel like fighters might be a bit hard to play if they just keep getting hit by all this frontline nonsense.
But also has a very high...
Every time Vex attacks, Shadow strikes a nearby enemy, dealing magic damage. Whenever an enemy is struck, how many times by Shadow strikes them again. Shadow launches empowered strikes, dealing... Okay, so basically just attack speed, marksmanship.
And then finally Zed. Now Zed is only available through a 3-2 augment, but what Zed is like the old set 2 Zed, where he makes clones, and the clones make clones, and the clones make clones, and you can end up in a weird board state. Now, this guy's scary. And I will tell you, his item build is not the most intuitive, okay? The first thing I'm going to tell you is he needs Edge of Night. And yes, the way it works is if his Edge of Night hasn't procced yet, the clones have an unprocced Edge of Night. If it has procced, the clones have a procced Edge of Night. So what you want to do is like try to make as many clones as you can before Edge of Night procs. So Edge of Night's very good.
Zed sounds fun.
The same is true, hilariously enough, of Bloodthirster. And so I
basically what Zed does is like when he casts, he creates a clone that's a bit weaker, but the clone can also cast. So if both of you cast again, I think you get 4 Zeds, and it can kind of like go out of hand if he doesn't die.
My personal
and
build
they all inherit the items.
Edge of Night, Bloodthirster, Shojin, which sounds weird, but the entire idea of this champion is make as many clones as you can to overwhelm them, and between the Edge of Night procs, BTs, and health of the clones, your backline can win the fight. You do not put damage on this guy. It's very weird in that regard. So we'll see what kind of builds you guys come up with. But just calling it out here, like when this guy snowballs, it's
What if you had rapid fire Zed? Does he not just not die? Like just rapid fire, I guess maybe rapid fire Shojin. Ginsu's? You're thinking about that too? Yeah, right. You said you try all the new items. That no, yeah. Does that like as long as your front line can hold for, right? He just keeps spamming. Wouldn't you just like fill up the you just fill up Zeds? Or like okay, we also don't know what psionic items and what anima score items, what maybe some new artifacts. We don't know what the extra trait items are, right? What if any of them gives like range? That could make Zed go a bit ooh. Ah no, I was just thinking I was thinking that what about trench coat Z? But trench coat is not in anymore, right? They removed trench coat. Trench coat Z does sound a bit crazy though. Like imagine trench coat Z with protector's vow. You frontline him, he pops, instantly casts 6 Zs immediately. Z, frontline Z, protector's vow, edge of night, 6 Zs. If edge of night active, no, actually no, it doesn't work because trench coat pops. But yeah, my trench coat is not even in.
Feels crazy. So, cool. There you go. There's the champions.
Yeah, you need to get the armor first though. Is it what tier is the armor?
I have an hour left. I gotta get through all this in an hour. Holy crap! All right, I might not.
Okay, we already went through traits earlier. Okay, I'll go through the 5 cost traits because I don't think Model went through it. Because I skipped the 5 cost thinking he'll go through when we talk about units. Okay, bow work. Okay, Shen basically is you get a zero soldier that buffs nearby enemies, nearby teammates. I mean,
Squad items, the Anima Squad emblem. You know, okay, it's gonna be a stick generator or 10%.
Sona, okay, basically gives you mods like Garen, right? I assume like Garen. Temporary mods, they don't last forever. Temporary mods that give special effects. Dark Lady. Allies take 5% less damage from abilities. Increase to 10% while Morgana's in Dark Realm. Okay, never mind. So Morgana is like Shyvana. Yeah. Damn. Okay, Morgana might be like one of those units. Basically Shyvana, like you wanna put her in every single. Try to put her in every single comp. Divine Duelist, this Fiora. You heal for 15% of player damage you deal. Darkin 2 for free. Fiora always wins a 1-on-1 duel. Oh, that sounds funny. That sounds funny. That sounds like it's gonna be so fun to watch, right? Just Fiora clutching shit. Like just imagine a 1 health Fiora just wins immediately because it's 1-on-1. Oh, the animation also right. Oh, I wanna see the animation. Slowly they cooked up a good animation for when she like pulls that shit off. Doomer, this Vex, mark all enemies with Doom. First time enemies are damaged each combat, their Doom is consumed. Yeah, she just steals. Basically, every single unit, if she hits for first time, she steals that shit. Jin, enemies have 14% less armor and magic resist. Is that not so much better than Fiddlesticks? Fiddlesticks reduces flat 10, right? 10 MR, 10 MR flat. This thing is 14%. That's crazy, you know? Let's say a tank has, even if a tank has 100. Okay, I guess technically it scales okay, you know what? It is better for tanks. It's better against tanks, but it's worse against average. I guess let's say okay, for simplicity's sake, let's just say it's 10%. So if I have 100, or basically if I have 140 MR, if my tank has 140 MR, then it gets minus 10. So that's the same as Fiddlesticks. If it has more, so if the tank has more than 140 MR, then Eradicator gets more value. Doesn't matter, they're already squishy. No. It doesn't matter if they're already squishy. You're still doing more damage. You're still killing things faster. Let's say you have, yeah, actually no, especially right. Let's say you have a lot of shitter tanks. Basically, most of the times you have like one main itemized tank, right? Then the rest are just shitter tanks. What if they are bruisers? Their MR is gonna be low. Minus 14% on a no MR bruiser is not gonna do much. So you're gonna kill the front line slower than if you had a Fiddlesticks. But it depends on whether their main tank is gonna die faster because you have minus 14%. Because now that I think about it, right, the tank needs to have more than 140% for this to be better than Fiddlesticks. And there are also stuff like, let's say fighters, right? Fighters, They're not exactly squishy, but they're not gonna have a lot of MR. 14%. Yeah, actually the more I think about this, basically it's better for us for killing a single tanky tank, but as an AoE effect on the whole entire team, I feel like overall you do less damage, honestly. I feel like overall this compared to Fiddlesticks, but I do less damage. Now that I think about it. As a team-wide effect. But hey, I mean, extra extra shredding is always good. Okay, Graves, after participating in combat, yeah. Basically upgrade Graves. Galaxy Hunter, Z. Yeah, this is cloning. Gun Goddess, this is Misfortune who can pick any trait. What else is there? Oracle, every 3 rounds down cash grants a reward. Yeah, we know that. That's the econ shit. Redeemer, that's Rust, basically just bronze for life. You get free bronze for life is there. Okay, that's it for the special traits. What does it say afterwards? Just going through the gods.
At which point, you will
onwards,
get one of Ari's Stage 2 choices and one of Aurelian Soul's Stage 2 choices as your 2 options, each with a component. So let me give you an example. You might have to choose between either 8...
You know what? I think I can skip this section. I'm gonna skip this section. It's getting late. I'm gonna skip this section. I feel like the gods, I'd rather just find them out on my own. Right. Units, I want to know what they do at the very least, and traits, right? So that at least I go in, I know what to do. I don't have to guess, or maybe maybe this beast for this unit is this. I just know at least. But now you know what? The side mechanic, I'll leave that for me to find out on my own during playing. And this one is just, it's probably just almonds, right?
The expedition
Yeah, just almonds. I want to be surprised by that as well. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow new set, right? Yeah. Should be tomorrow. Unless it's some weird time zone shit. Should be tomorrow. I'll try and I haven't found out how to get PBE on PC yet, so that's that. I'll go and find out. Then tomorrow if PB is up, I'll play PB. I'll stream PB. So that'll be it for today. It's getting late. I'm feeling kind of tired now. I'm falling asleep. In Riot Client, I need new email though. New email as in what? Like a totally new email. I cannot use my old one. My like it has to be a completely new email that is not linked to a Riot account, is it? Cause I can use. You made a new one specifically. Okay, I see. Yeah, okay, then I'll just go make another email. Yeah. PB time, let's go. New set. You know what? Looks okay. You know, I saw a X post that this show said, which basically like every 2 sets you get a good set and you get a set where it's just they change the encounter, right? So this is like the encounter set where they just change encounters, and I guess he's like calling it, that's like a pattern, and the pattern is saying that this set is gonna be the not so good one, right? I guess we'll see. Okay, that's gonna be it. Guess we'll read out anybody that we should that y'all think we should rate. If not, I don't mind this. I'm probably just gonna read. Grim, I guess. Oh, Grim. Set 17 exclusive gameplay. Well, I guess. Wait, why does he get it? Wait, what the heck? Hey, Wooly! Wait. Hello, Wooly, bro. No. Thanks for the raid, but thanks for the raid. We were raiding out, bro. Hey, hello, Wooly. Thanks for the raid. Not Wooly, Woony. Bro, why is everything dumber in your... Hello, hello, Margie. Is that hole? Yeah, it's a hole. It's a hole. Hey, thanks for wait. Thanks for wait. But I was just waiting out, so appreciate it. Appreciate it. And see you guys later, I guess. It's called fashion. Yeah, exactly. You guys don't get it, bro. You guys don't get it. What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? Have you seen the shit that people wear? Have you seen the shit that people wear? The dumb shit that people wear to walk on the fashion walkway. Come on. What's wrong with this? What's wrong with this? X, how do I like set 17 so far? Looks interesting. Looks interesting. There's a lot of flexible traits. A lot of flexible traits. A lot of interesting traits. Sounds like a lot of interesting things you can do as well. You should drop by when he does. Ari cosplay says who? Says who? No, I'm not. When did this start? I'm not doing Ari cosplay. Like, do you like the fact that there's no carousel or not? We have to find out. We will find out, right? We just try. It's not something that you can just say, right? It depends on how well they execute it, and we'll just there to try. Like, honestly, not like carousel was like a very fun thing to do, right? Honestly. Hello, hook pin. That's a follow. Like carousel is not. It's not like that fun. Sorry. Can we tell it's gonna be harder than set 16 yet? Who knows? Who knows? We gotta try first. Gotta try first. Wear my clothes properly. Wear properly how? How am I wearing this wrong?
Is to buff your units nowadays, man. Holy. I like. Okay.